Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another episode of Talks with Liem Lee. I'm your host. I'm Liem. I'm a software engineer, and my sidekick is...
Hello, this is Emmett Morgan. I am a realtor here in Las Vegas, and I'm a dude with a Spam shirt on. Your intro sounded really good there. That was nice. We're delighted today to have an awesome guest on. Say hello to Andrei, everybody. What's your story?
Hello, my name is Andrei Flores. I'm from Europe, Eastern Europe, Republic of Moldova. Moved to US in 2015, and I work as a construction project manager for a commercial construction company here in Vegas.
Cool.
Nice.
We'll dive into that in a second. I forgot to say that this is, if you're watching on YouTube, this is also available on podcast via audio on your any major podcast platform, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. There's so many. CastBox. Yeah.
Is there a subreddit?
I think I did create it. I parked it.
I was kidding.
And then if you're listening only, make sure to check out our YouTube channel so you could watch us be silly.
You can see how good looking we are.
All right. Where should we start with you, Andrei? Where's the most interesting stories in your life from your childhood or your work, or what would you think is the most...
It's a problem child.
Were you a problem child growing up?
Okay, so let's see. I am the only child, so problematic
Spoiled.
would be probably something not close to my personality. I was a little bit spoiled though, but again,
well, actually, let me back up. So does that mean you felt the responsibility of your family on you because you're the only child?
no. I think I actually had a very careless childhood, to be honest. But I was born in Eastern Europe.
Carefree?
What did I say?
Careless?
Carefree, correct.
I mean, similar. You're right.
I could see that if you're a child, you're just playing where you're playing around, your parents take care of everything. You could be careless per se, but I guess careless is with the stigma of being dangerous.
Careless implies that you shouldn't have been not caring.
Okay. Well, okay. So just a disclaimer, right? I'm going to have a lot of words that I probably mispronounce. So you can laugh, but you can still correct me.
Well, me and you will be on the same page. I say things incorrectly all the time.
No.
Right.
For me, it's not correction. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you mean.
Okay, that's good.
And then kind of translating to the audience a little bit.
Sounds good.
But yeah, no, I know Andrei pretty well, and he communicates well.
Thank you. Well, English is my second language among...
When did you start learning English?
In first grade. So I went to a school that had English as a second language, and then they added French and Russian. Oui, seigneur, monsieur.
Did you keep up French?
No.
So
actually, we stopped in 9th grade, and then because I didn't use it, I actually did not.
Currently, you're fluent in 2 languages only?
4.
Oh,
so
what the fuck?
I forgot the language of love.
Right. So it's
He's
Romanian.
not good at math.
Romanian, which is my native language. Russian, which is my second language. English is a third, and fourth is Spanish, which I decided to learn on my own before I moved to the United States.
what was your driver's? I'm guessing.
Bueno.
Romanian and English that was something that your parents basically pushed on you, or the
Romanian, basically, that was the only one. But in first grade, like I said, they put English as a second language, and we had English every single day. Russian I learned on the street, to be honest. I had a lot of Russian friends. Moldova as a republic has a very interesting history that connects basically Romanian history with Russian and Soviet, and it's been a country that had a very complex set of events in the past 100 years.
Is there a Moldovan language on its own?
No, but you will hear people saying something different. There's always, it's been a conflict where a lot of people in my country will tell you that there's a Moldovan language, which doesn't exist. Moldovan language is basically Romanian with some Russian words thrown here and there, just like Spanglish or Runglish.
Sure.
But there's no such thing as Moldovan language, no.
Yeah, well, that's totally logical. You're caught between cultures and between geographies, so
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that as a country, we had a lot of correlation with with different big empires, like the Turkish Empire. We have basically Romanian has a lot of Turkish words in it as well. So yeah, we have a very long history. It's very interesting. Not the best outcome, but it is what it is. So
Which language is the hardest for you to learn?
the hardest one was,
Or go ahead and answer that.
think, okay, so it was not hard, but I still think Russian is one of the most complex languages in the world. Grammar especially, it's just, it's something different. So I was actually talking to one of our mutual friends, Corey, the other day, and she was trying to translate a sentence for her mother-in-law that lives in Israel. And now with the conflict, she was trying to be nice, and she was trying to ask her how she's doing. So she showed me the text. I'm like, no, that's something that you say to a friend. Like, for example, in Russian, there is no such thing as you as singular and plural, right? In English, it's just one word. In Russian is you have singular, plural, and then you have a word to use when you're trying to be nice to somebody or like respectful with someone that usually is a little bit older than you are.
It's like when you say Your Honor.
Exactly, almost. So in that perspective,
Wait,
Russian is
so
very
your
complex.
friend's mother-in-law is in Israel?
Yeah, so that's
And-
Albi's mother.
Well, don't say it on the internet. No, but she speaks Russian?
Should I remove
She does speak Russian. No, I think.
No,
it's
makes
okay.
sense.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, she.
No, the point is there a lady in Israel that speaks Russian?
Yes, so that she is a Russian immigrant.
Okay.
In Israel, yeah,
Is she hella Jewish?
she is.
Okay, so that's the attraction, right? That's why she wanted to get to Israel?
I think so. I don't know their history, so
Gotcha. Connections.
So yeah. That being said, I think Russian is the most complex, the most even complicated in language to learn. I think after Chinese, I tried to do that too, but I didn't succeed. So your question was, why did I learn Spanish, and what was the driver for that?
Yeah. What was her name?
Yeah. Was she hot? Do you regret breaking up with her?
It's they.
Oh, do you regret not going back there?
Yes.
To Miami.
Always. Well, first of all, being having some sort of French language experience, right?
Yeah.
In school, and having those 4 years of learning, I thought that would be a good idea to actually learn a different Latin language, which is Spanish, right? So me being Romanian being a Latin language, and French, now Spanish,
Yeah.
in my mind, that would have been easy to learn. And to be honest, I think in 1 or 2 years, I actually got to a pretty decent level of Spanish. And the main driver was I knew I'm going to work in the construction business. So in my mind, especially on the West Coast, there's a lot of Spanish speaking.
Oh, you racist motherfucker.
I am not.
I thought
I'm actually being nice.
I was hoping he was saying after thinking about all the Latin booty, you wanted to learn more Spanish. But
Well, that
going
too,
down
that helps a
route.
lot too.
I saw this J-Lo movie called Jiggly.
Right. So I can definitely say that I made a lot of friends because of the fact that I spoke Spanish, and
Yeah. Do you work with any guys named Carlos?
a lot. But I think the most common name is Juan.
Juan. Not Jesus?
There's a lot of Jesus.
Okay. So yeah.
Jorge.
So in the construction biz, a lot of Americans with Mexican heritage will.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Amazing people, by the way. Very interesting.
When did you come to the U.S.?
Well, I immigrated to U.S. in 2015. My first, let's say, work and travel experience. This is what we call it over there. It's a special program. Was in 2011, and that was my first flight to Nashville, Tennessee, a beautiful city. So that was one of the programs that I used to spend my summers here.
Did you do any line dancing when you were in Nashville?
I didn't have time, but I think we did that in Memphis once.
Nice.
Beautiful. So that my first experience with the work and travel program in U.S. was pretty interesting. I mean, if we have time, I can tell you.
We got time, man.
Yeah.
So
we got time.
So I think I was the third year at the university. That was the Technical University of Moldova.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main reasons why I am in construction today. So for a
Technically.
couple of years, I would see older students coming back in September, October, with all these photos and memories and stories about them being
Cowboy hats.
in US. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of bags from Ross and Marshalls too.
That's a deal.
That was something interesting too. I mean, for a student,
The discount
store, the
stores.
discount store.
But why? What's
So-
the correlation?
Because you
So-
can't get the good shit over there.
Exactly. So I mean, if you want to get some Skechers or some Reebok,
Yeah, if you want
shoes,
some Nike pants or
You're gonna have to
Under
pay, like-
Armour shirt,
Right.
It doesn't exist in.
I mean, it does, but it's very expensive. So
Yeah.
if you want to get some Adidas shoes, you have to go to the retail store over there in the mall, and you're gonna probably pay $200, right? And when you come to US and you go to Ross and you see those for like $25, $30, I'm like, oh my God, this is a hidden gem, you know?
By any chance, I noticed in Vietnam that as time's going on, their economy is getting stronger, and some of the people that like Adidas a whole lot, they could tell a difference of the Adidas that's bought in Marshalls. So you're nodding your.
I don't
Oh
know.
no, okay.
Yeah.
So meaning they know what's the newest Adidas. I'm like, dude, you guys are a third world country. Like, lay back. Like, I'm trying to give some gifts. Like, don't judge me on this.
I know
I didn't
exactly
buy
what
the
you mean.
most latest Adidas.
Yeah, no, you're right. You know, and that's
expensive
I would even call it a phenomenon for some. I mean, in a way or another, because you're right. The poorer the country, the more accent they have on expensive items, and I think, in a way, in my mind, that is probably the only way to compensate for all the things that we didn't have when we were kids, right? So yeah, I think in my situation, probably same thing with you guys. In the 90s, there was basically nothing to buy in the stores, and there was a deficit of things, which I remember as a kid because that lingered around for like 5 years until 95, 96.
Yeah.
I have some very sad stories where we actually my mom had to go out and sell my old clothes so she can buy food. So I mean, when you come from a society, and I'm actually not talking about come to US, I'm actually talking about the transition from the Soviet Union to capitalism and to a new world.
Yeah.
When you lived in a country that has basically nothing to offer,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you see all this Western values, and you see people wearing jeans and
cool, exciting.
and cool and stuff like Hollywood is all over the place. You will have the tendency to compensate somehow for the things that you didn't have. So yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. I sometimes go home and I'm like, what the hell, you guys? This guy's wearing a Rolex and he doesn't have a place to live, you know, and he's like riding the most expensive car there is on the market.
Yeah.
In a way, it's sad, but at the same time, I kind of understand them too.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is. This is the
So
life that
when
we
it's
have.
out of reach for so long, maybe in your mind, it's so much more important. It's so much more better to attain.
And
Right.
to some degree, I'm guessing DVDs, pirated DVDs, American movies, white Hollywood, those things are visible easily to the poor person. So they could go watch a movie and see on the big screen, on their small TV at home, they could
Right.
see Rolexes, Ferraris, Adidas. They see all that, and in the mind, it starts to just brainwash them unknowingly. I guess
Right.
I don't know if it's unknowingly or however you want to say it, but it gets in their brain, and that's what they want. So
That's exactly what it is, and I think that's the answer to the question. And I think there's still time will have to pass until we as a third world country, I'm talking about the country that I'm coming from, will learn the value of wealth in general. Because again, in their mind, in a lot of my friends' mind, the wealth is actually shown by the car that you're driving, it's the clothes that you're wearing, or the restaurant that you're going to. But it's not really.
But, well, like you
Right.
said, though, that transition out of the Soviet Union is a massive shock to a nation and a culture and a people. So maybe it takes a generation or two to adjust and find your own way, right?
That's how I see it. Yeah, you can't just bring democracy overnight. And democracy is that's a
you can bring capitalism
political
overnight.
thing, but you cannot bring capitalism overnight because it's going to create some misunderstanding.
Yeah, some weird side effects.
What do you think is the best and or the worst things that when you see this transition from socialist to capitalist?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Is there any downside?
There is in a way. Okay, so I've been saying this since I came to US, and I've been saying this to my friends, even my parents. One thing that I'm really grateful for the fact that I actually was born and raised in that part of the of Europe is that number one, I had free healthcare, and most importantly, I had free education, and that involves high school, involves in middle school, but most importantly, college and university. I mean, I did pay for the university, but the amount that I had to pay was so negligible that if you transfer that into dollars, it's nothing.
So how did you get into Moldova Technical University? Do you have to have the best grades, or what's the? Or can anybody go?
Well, there's a certain GPA that you have to get in order to go to that university. But I think, in a way, everybody can go to university. It's not that hard to get in, especially because I had college. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to actually finish high school and do my bachelor. No, what is it? They call it bachelor over there, but it's not really bachelor. So when you finish like 12th grade,
sure, yeah,
then you can apply to university. What I decided to do was I didn't know if I want to be a structural engineer. So I said, look, I'm going to finish 9th grade. I'm going to go to college, the construction college, which basically involves you finishing the same grades that you would in high school. But on top, you have like summer school and you have evenings where you learn a skill. And that specifically was construction technician.
You were an ambitious dude.
No, that was my mom. She that is actually true. My mom is a structural engineer. And I always wanted to be something else than a structural engineer. I wanted to be a singer or an actor, but that wasn't to be. So
there's not as many good paying jobs.
I know. And that was my mom's like point, you know, like, you know what, you can have your own band. You could go to and apply to like, I don't know, like evening theater, or like amateurs theater, but make sure you go to college.
Yeah. Hey,
and the first few years were actually tricky because I wasn't really into math and physics and chemistry and all that. But I think as soon as I started to actually understand construction, it became really interesting.
Well, so the trick is if you just act like a construction engineer, then you do both. Because now you're method acting by living that life.
Well, if I would do that, you wouldn't probably want to be in the buildings that
just act like you know math.
Like, yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Were you able to follow the acting or music path while college and everything all the way through, or did you find a point? What was the point where you did you leave one behind?
Okay, so in college, we did have what we called a comedy club. So I was very actively involved in that.
Yuck, 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 yuck.
Yeah.
You're a comedian?
Actually, no, well, we call it a comedy club, but I was more of a like theater type of thing. We're like putting sketches together and like
that's fun.
Different. You know.
Oh, maybe they'd call it improv out here.
Yeah, you can call it. Well, it's a little bit different. So it's kind of like an SNL type of thing.
Yeah.
So we did that, and at the same time, I had a rock band that I was involved in too. We recorded a couple of songs, so that kind of made me, calm me down for a while because I'm like, okay, I did that and I did that, so yeah, I should be good.
Nice.
So yeah, I think when I went to university, that's when the reality kicked in.
I gotta learn this fucking math.
Right. And that was the same time when I came to US. And to be honest, I am very grateful to the fact that I actually decided to be part of that program of working and traveling, because I was a baby before I came to US, and I went back as a grown up.
Oh, you mean you had sex?
No, you know what? Growing up doesn't really involve that.
Oh, okay.
But I
came
mean,
back a man.
being on my own, in a foreign country, having no friends. Basically, I was technically dropped in a city called Little Rock, Arkansas, trying to sell books door to door on a commission.
Yeah.
In 115 degrees outside with a lot of like 95% humidity. So you can imagine, no car, just a bicycle. I lasted 1 month.
Yeah. That's like being a Jehovah's Witness.
Almost, yeah. That's like, well, the same company was selling, I don't want to say names, but that's really bad publicity.
Yes. No, it's all right.
But that company used to sell Bibles in the 1900s. So now they're selling encyclopedias. To be honest, as bad as it sounds, I think that was a really good school for me. And it's not about even selling. It was not about sales. It was about me being responsible and knowing that you're going to wake up tomorrow and your mom is not going to be here. Your parents are not going to be here. So you have to be on your own. You have to manage your own budget. You have to manage your own household, whatever.
Wow.
So, one of the things that I'm really grateful is that definitely.
Yeah, that's a different kind of independence.
Exactly.
So definitely sink or swim.
Right.
Where do you think the most important aspects of all that, from your career now to the Romania, the childhood, to the travel work program, what was the most integral piece or the biggest catalyst for you to get to where you are?
I think, I had a breakdown moment.
Breakthrough?
It was a breakdown.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, I actually started to cry one day because I realized that I was broke. I had no money left in my account. So I called my employer and I said, look, I appreciate you guys, all the things that you did for me, but I cannot work on commission anymore. So that day was one of the catalysts, like you said, that actually changed my personality completely, because what happened was I was so exhausted that I basically called my parents and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I really don't know what to do. I'm like, it's a dead end for me.
Yeah.
And they said, look, Andrei, we're going to wire you some money, take a ticket, come back, and you'll
be fine.
Like nothing ever happened. But while I was actually going to the bank, I thought to myself and I said, look, if I go home today, I'm going to hate myself for the rest of my life. And instead of going to the bank to get the money that my parents would wire, I actually called my employer and I said, look, I don't want to go home. Just find me a different job. So they found me a different job. I flew to Atlanta. I worked there in the mall. I made a decent amount of money and I went home and I felt like I did the right thing. And looking back, I think I did the right thing, because if I would have returned home in July of that year, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, for sure. What
led up to that moment? Were you living beyond your means, or just the commission was it was a dry spell, or?
Right. So it wasn't.
What year was this?
That was 2011.
Yeah. If you can imagine trying to sell encyclopedias door to door in 2011.
And that is a good point, by the way. Thank you for saying that, because first of all, I didn't decide where I'm going to sell. I was actually directed to sell in that specific area. And to be honest, and no offense to the state of Arkansas and the city of Little Rock, but
encyclopedias.
That city at that specific time was in a terrible shape. And to be honest, me as a student, I had no idea of the market crash in 2008. I didn't have any idea of the crash of the real estate market. So it was very weird for a Moldovan like me walking around the neighborhood and seeing every other house being foreclosed. I didn't even know what that is. Then I realized that, hold on, all those people actually lost their houses. Yeah. And probably one of the most important moments that I remember was when I tried to sell this encyclopedia to this lady, and she's like, sir, how much is this book? I'm like, it's only $120. She's like, sir, do you want to look in my house? My house is empty. I have nothing. And she was actually not kidding. The lady had a sofa and a beat up Chevy from like the 60s or something, 70s. And then that's when I realized that, hold on, I'm in the wrong location.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong spot. So I decided, like, look, I'm out of money because I was only working for a commission. I only sold a couple of books, but how much money are you going to make in a month?
Yeah, well, you're realizing this is such a hopeless task, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there are people that succeeded in other states or even in the same city, but
well, I could tell you there's not a lot of door-to-door encyclopedia salesmen.
And then with the internet coming out
in the U.S.
Right.
Yeah.
Wikipedia and Google.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so this job program had a way to send you to Atlanta then?
Yes. So basically I called I got to the owner, well, not owner, the director of the company. And they said, well, look, you're still on the contract, so you can choose.
Yeah.
So the guy gave me a position as a sales position in a mall, and I was selling sunglasses.
That's much easier sell.
Which was the best job in the world. I'm actually not kidding. Talking to people, and sunglasses, they sell themselves. They don't need to be sold.
Would you rather have this pair of sunglasses or this full set of encyclopedia books?
They cost the same.
Right. Well, unfortunately, yeah, in our society, sunglasses sell much better than encyclopedias.
So that commission-based encyclopedia and the sunglasses thing was one company,
Yeah.
and that was part of the.
Well, it's the same employer, but they work a little bit different. They have partnerships, and as long as you have a contract with them.
Are they essentially getting cheap foreign labor then? Were you making less than minimum wage or something? Or how does that?
Well,
Yeah.
Was that part of the work program travel thingy part of that too?
yes,
Yeah.
but
Because like, why would I hire a dude to come over from Moldova to sell sunglasses when I can get some teenager?
And you had a degree too. Why not use that?
well, it's not really related. Those two are not related at all. So this was a big company. Actually, the company that sells books is a huge company. It's very successful. I don't know how they're doing
Now,
but
Give me the name. I'll Google it while you talk.
but
Merriam-Webster.
that's basically it. They have contracts with different employers in U.S. and it is partially cheap labor because the work and travel programs, they all hire students from Eastern Europe, especially that will come for the summer, maybe more than a summer, maybe like 5 months a year, and they would work in restaurants. They would work in like any type of industry here, and it's a cheap labor. But again, it's a win-win type of situation because the employer will pay you less, and it's good for his business. At the same time, you have the opportunity to see the world a little bit, travel to US, and at the same time make some money.
Nice.
So I mean, again, it's a win-win.
Well, so we derailed pretty hard from I think the original we started with in the transition from the Soviet Union to capitalism.
Right.
What were some good and bad changes that you saw?
Okay, so the good changes were, of course, freedom.
Freedom.
So
Like you could talk trash about Lenin whenever you want.
yes. Well, you know what? The best thing is not to talk about him at all.
Yeah.
I want to forget him.
Okay.
A lot of people want to forget him. A lot of old people still have the, can I call it melancholy?
Yeah, like old values that they want to
Yes,
hold
old
on
values,
to.
and they still crave for social. I mean, the way things were before.
Yeah,
And in all reality, there were some good things about Soviet Union, no doubt.
sure.
And especially when you're in a transition period like the 90s, good things will not come overnight. It's actually a 10, 15 year period of crisis and adaptation.
Yeah,
So the 90s were rough, like really rough.
yeah.
And there was a lot of,
Yeah, if you go from like we got some crappy food to now we're starving, then you go, hey, I wish we were that back the way it was because we had some food.
Exactly. So
Okay.
so the good things are probably freedom, democracy. Even though the democracy is really young over there still, and people are still learning how to live in a democracy and be able to fight for their rights. But we do have a lot of young people that are very, very active, and I think they are going to bring the change. They are the new that generation that will completely change the way people see things and the country and the politics.
Looking back now, when do you think was the harshest time in that town or or in Romania? Was it your child? Moldova.
Yeah, Romania. Well, that's a little bit of history, but Moldova now is a separate republic, which Moldova was part of Romania for a long, long time. But technically, the same thing happened to Romania as well because we were part of the same socialist bloc. And just like in the 90s, Romania got rid of Ceausescu and his dictatorship. Same thing happened to us. We proclaimed our freedom and we proclaimed ourselves as a republic in the 90s. So the harshest period was probably 94, 95.
Oh, damn. So you lived that.
I did. So
I was sorry. My train of thought was thinking, was it your parents or you that had it hardest? And so you.
Right. It's well, all of us. Technically, so the Soviet Union collapsed in, I think, 86. But it came to us, and we actually realized it and proclaimed our freedom in the 90s. So, like 91, 92, we had a war with the Soviet troops at some point, which is still a frozen conflict. You were asking about Transnistria the other day, and that is the remnant of what happened in the 90s.
About what? Transylvania?
No, Transnistria.
I was?
You are.
Okay.
By text, you actually asked me about Transnistria. So this is one of those pieces of the country that is still under the occupation of the Soviet troops.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, probably 94, 95 was the hardest time because
now there are still Soviet troops?
Yes. It's called the 14th Army.
Is it like a warlord thing? They just have this area and their guns and
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. So imagine this country being part of the Soviet bloc, right?
Yeah.
There's military all over the place in every single city, every single republic, as they call it at the time, Republic of the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union collapsed, most of the troops in the Soviet Union basically retracted,
went back to their home,
went back to Moscow or whatever, Russia, and but this troop specifically decided not to leave. So they fought, and we just couldn't.
Were they originally Moldovan, or were they originally from somewhere else?
So basically, what they do is they send Russian military to occupy, because if you use locals, that's probably going to result in a coup or...
Okay. So these Russian guys were like, well, I don't really want to go home. I'd rather stay here.
And they created their own republic. They proclaimed themselves as the Republic of Transnistria. And
so logistically, how do they eat? What do they...
Where's the money come from?
Russia.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. It's coming from Russia. They have very good relationship with Russia. They're still in a position where they get a lot of supplies from the Russian government, and same thing as it happens right now in Crimea. It's the same exact story. If you actually look at the post-Soviet map, you will see a lot of countries that have the same exact scenario.
Where Russia wants to keep some force.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they don't care about the land itself. They actually care about the influence. So they're trying to grab as much as they can.
Yeah.
And I don't want to turn this into political conversation, but it is the reality.
It's relevant to the history of Moldova, yeah.
Right. So
what was the harshest or the saddest memory that you have? The harshest time during that 1990s through 1995. What was the harshest time that you had?
I think the chaos. Probably the saddest memory was when there was a gang of grown-up men that almost attacked us while we were in the public.
Like you were hanging out with some other kids, and
No, that was actually me and my parents, and we're traveling to my grandma's house. She lived outside the city, and basically the guy came with a knife, and they took our money. So in the 90s, especially 93, 94, 95, because of the crisis, you would see a lot of gangs forming up. And as weird as it sounds, it was actually following the Russian model of the mafia. So it was real. It was real mafia. It was real groups of people that basically were doing whatever they wanted. So they put up their hands on like public like factories and they were basically running the post-Soviet countries, starting from Russia to all the rest of them. And it was pretty sad because there were the police didn't have any type of influence. They didn't have no power at all. They were underarmed. They were funded. So for a couple of years, for a couple of good years, the Russian mafia was running the show. And if that was one of the moments that probably kind of made me think and made me realize that we're not in a good place, right? When that happened, and it was happening a lot. Anybody who would try to open a business would get in trouble because they would come and ask for money, or they would close your business, or even worse, hurt your family. So that was pretty bad. At some point, I remember when I was walking in my neighborhood, when I was only 7 or 8 years old, probably a bit older than that. But at some point, I saw a couple of Mercedes-Benz black, I think they call them S100s.
Sure.
The big ones.
Like remember, a limo looking.
Exactly, like the one Tupac was driving.
Why you gotta bring Tupac into this, man?
Well, because it's kind of the same thing. The guy was riding a armed car, right? And that was the exact same car I saw on the road, abandoned. And when I got closer to it, I saw bullets, like hundreds of bullets in all three cars.
Yeah.
And actually they didn't go through because the window was like 4 or 5 layers thick. So that was kind of a picture of how the things were at the time. Even though we were kids, we would definitely understand what's going on. We knew it.
Yeah, some bad shit.
Yeah, and you would hear a lot of gunshots, and but at some point, the government decided to just stop this whole nonsense, and they just I think they gathered all of they call them the Godfathers, or
this is why you like those movies.
Well, there's another name. It's called in Russian. It's Vorev Zakoni, which means the thief in law.
Thief in law.
Thief in law, and they would just gather all of them and they executed all of them, and that's when the mafia era ended.
Okay, so the government cleaned up the mafia, and it's much better now than it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been through a couple of governments since then.
I'm just gonna move.
A couple of governments since then, but in my mind, as bad as it sounds, I think we're getting to a better place.
Yeah. So growing up around that kind of crime and that kind of violence, do you think that is? I know you enjoy American mafia movies as entertainment, right?
Right.
Do you think that kind of childhood kind of planted the seed?
It did. Well, I think for any child, if when they see all the wealth and they see all the authority that some people have, especially when you watch a movie with the renowned Marlon Brando with his charisma and the way he talks, of course you're gonna get oh, I want to be that guy.
You want to be that guy?
I want to be that guy.
So absolutely, does a better impersonation than you do.
I haven't seen it in so many years. I could do Top Gun better.
Well, definitely. I think that is one of those things that...
Well, it's weird to me because it's clearly like a traumatic, negative thing to experience in life. and then it's strange to enjoy that as entertainment later.
You know,
mean, they're not the same, I know,
right?
but-
And to be honest, I never thought about this, but I think I never actually made the connection between the two, because one of them is reality, one of them is the thing that I've actually experienced, the other one is fiction, which is actually true as well, because it is based on true events. But the way Hollywood romanticizes movies like these, there's no way you will despise them. Or
So if I ever cut off a horse's head and sneak it into your bed,
that would be really bad.
no, you wouldn't be like, I get it for that movie. You wouldn't be like thrilled.
Well, if it's made of plastic, I would probably laugh. But please don't cut. Please don't cut no one's head. I love animals. Don't do that, especially horses.
Yeah, all right. Don't do that.
What do you think that history for you, when you reflect on yourself, your personality traits, what are some of the personality traits that you take from that history?
He's always breaking people's knees now.
Yeah. Do you break people's knees? Are you more conservative money? Do you play in stocks? Are you more of a gambler?
Right. Okay. So I am not a violent person. Number one.
Andrei's a lover, not a hater.
What that brought me was probably I can't really enjoy. I enjoy dramas and I enjoy thrillers because of the fact that I've kind of seen the reality of life in a different perspective and from a different perspective. And whenever I see people that are trying to be tough and, it's like Godfather wannabe, it's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, the correlation between the two, right? It's not funny. It is not fun.
Yeah.
And people died in the 90s.
Yeah.
People died because of that. People died because of those bad guys that tried to grasp as much as they could.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I matured a little bit faster because of that, for sure.
Yeah.
And to answer your question about gambling, I do not gamble. I don't like to gamble. The only gambling that I am doing is probably the stock market, but in my mind, that's still better than gambling itself, because you are investing in real companies and you're giving someone else an opportunity to grow their business.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, reminds me that yesterday, one of my favorite investors of all time, Richard Branson, finally was able to fly his rocket ship into space, and I'm very happy. And this is one of the companies that I actually invested in. So
I'm happy it didn't blow up.
Yeah, well, it happened in the past. This is I think the third or the fourth attempt.
Yeah, rockets. This is no joke.
I know, but yeah, I think this is one of the traits that came with it.
So in that transition from the Soviet Union, it went into a very rough time. You said that it was good to have free health insurance and education. Is that still the case now, or was that different under the
It
old?
is still the case, but it's getting more complicated now. So the Soviet ideology was everybody gets free health insurance, health care, and free education.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the Soviet Union had one of the best schools in the world.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about physics, mathematics,
Great mathematicians. Yeah.
yes,
And great
it's
chess players.
correct. They still do have a lot of good schools.
Yeah.
And even though the teachers over there are severely underpaid, sometimes I actually look back and I'm so grateful to my teachers and the
Nice.
the people that were involved in the educational system. And I definitely think they deserve a lot more than they do now. I mean, they're severely underpaid. That's as easy as that.
Gotcha.
So looking back, sometimes I actually want to talk to some of the youth and explain them, like, look, man, you're getting free education and it's one of the best in the world. So get it. Because what happens is with this transition to capitalism, a lot of their parents, like kids' parents, actually left, especially in the 90s with the crisis and all that. They fled the country to make some more money, and they would send back their
things are terrible enough. You're like, well, anywhere might be better. Let's give it a shot.
Right, exactly.
Let's go somewhere.
So they would leave their kids, and they would go to countries like Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, and they would work there, and they would send money back home. What that brought, though, was kids that are kind of in a very spending mode.
Right.
And most of the kids would just not care about going to school and enjoying and actually getting the most out of it.
Yeah.
You know? And now looking back, I think that's a big mistake because again, there's one opportunity, and this is one, like getting free education is
but that's terrible. You know, basically those kids and those parents are forced to have an absent parent situation.
Right.
And of course you're going to have some problems, some dysfunction.
Right. Being raised by your grandma and your grandpa is not the same. So you're right. It's basically compensating in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have cousins that have kids? So the next generation, do you have any ties with Moldovian family? And do you see that next generation? How do you see them more spoiled? Do you see them pushing education more, or do you see them more lazy because capitalism has come in?
Well, I think it's a case by case.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Capitalism came in and gave fortunate situations to the economy, and therefore let the parents spoil their kids. I didn't mean to say that capitalism causes people to be lazy.
Right. Well, again, it's a based on a case by case scenario, because I've seen kids that were like raised in poor families, right, and now they're doing amazing things. They finish school, they're very educated, and they're trying to achieve as much as they can based on their possibilities, and they're doing really well. On the other side, I see a lot of my friends and even cousins that are in a very good material situation, and they have money, but their kids, like you said, are very spoiled. And but I think it's based on the way their own parents were raised. So at this point, I don't think it has anything to do with capitalism in general and the transition.
I'll just add on, when I see Vietnam I feel like Vietnam's a communist capitalist society.
It's behaving capitalist, but the government is technically communist authoritarian. So you can be as capitalist as you want up to the line.
Yeah.
And when you hit that line, it's a hard line.
So I see that as Western advertising, Western techniques of business, work ethics, 9 to 5, all that as it's coming to Vietnam. I feel like it's following America. Consume, buy a Mercedes, buy BMW, buy a big house, get a big loan. It's all moving in that direction. Do you see aspects of that?
I do see that trend a lot. If 20 years ago, the idea was, in order to have a house, you would have to save a lot of money. And when you have the final amount that you can actually use to buy the house, that's when you do it. I've seen a lot of like the transition to actually getting a mortgage, which is a good thing. I definitely see that as a good thing. The opportunity for a 20-year-old to actually get into a mortgage, that's amazing, because in the past you would see kids living with their parents until they're 40, and that's pretty tough. And it's sad at the same time.
Still trying to save up until you're 40?
Exactly. So
yeah.
But now having that opportunity, it's definitely a good thing. But that comes with the consumerism, like you said, and it is following the Western trend for sure. Again, when it comes to possibilities, and with the new era and with the new generation, I think, especially now with companies hiring overseas, right? Mm-hmm. You would actually see a lot of companies from US that are recruiting in Moldova, especially IT. Like, I don't know, like call centers. Which is definitely a big help. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a big help. So if I look back, I definitely think now this generation has a lot more opportunities than we did when we were young.
So the future is looking good.
It is. I mean, I think it
Positive.
has something to do with globalization in general.
Yeah.
And it's definitely I definitely see a bright future for a lot of people.
If you had one message to give to the new Moldovian generation, what would it be? In 2 sentences or less, maybe.
Go to school and learn as much as you can, because it's definitely going to help you in the future, and especially when it's free. What is that?
You sound like an old guy.
Well, I am an old guy.
You spoiled bastards. Study the math.
The work, the move, was it the travel and work program?
Yeah.
Should we back up before that? I want to ask about that, but do you think, did we not cover, do you happen to think we didn't cover enough of the...
No, just whatever's interesting. I see Andrei as a unique window into a place that Americans are not familiar with. We don't know a lot about Eastern Europe, and certainly I bet you 99 out of 100 Americans couldn't tell you a damn thing about Moldova.
That is correct.
It's a small country that we there's no oil there, so we're not interested.
So yeah, well, you know what? I watch a lot of YouTube, and especially video blogs with people traveling around the world. And there's this guy called Bald and Broke, something like that. He exclusively travels to Eastern Europe and those countries that are like very, very unknown. Very unknown, yeah. So this guy was actually saying, and because he did his research, and then I did it myself too. Moldova is actually one of the least traveled countries in the world.
Yeah.
So that was kind of sad, but in a way, it's so small that there's not a lot of people know about it.
Right.
But in all reality, it's a beautiful country. It is a beautiful country, and it's very green. It has beautiful castles and beautiful monasteries. It has very beautiful old sites from like hundreds and thousands of years ago, and you can actually see the history the way it is.
Getting cool castles.
Absolutely beautiful ones. So let's comparing that to U.S. I mean, Moldova has thousands and thousands of years of history.
Yeah.
U.S. has only like 300 years of history.
Yeah.
Four?
That, yeah.
Two. I think 2.
Well, with America, Vespucci is a little bit older than that.
Yeah.
Let's not discount the Native Americans.
Right. Well, then you can go thousands of years back.
I seen hieroglyphics.
So, in all reality, there's a lot of beautiful places to visit and travel to. Is that we just have to make it more, known, yeah. But I think it's gonna get better, especially with the internet nowadays, which I think is the biggest invention of humanity after electricity, probably.
No internet without electricity.
Yeah. I think with the internet, you're going to see a lot of changes, and especially when it comes to traveling to countries like.
Well, so as an American, could I book a vacation to Moldova? Would it be a good time?
Yeah, well, you would definitely have a good time for sure. There's not a new program, but one of the programs that I find very attractive is they call it agro-tourism.
You just go around and get angry at everybody?
Agriculture.
Like agriculture.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You want some of this?
Well, you can do that too. They're going to give you...
Don't fuck with me. Sorry.
So basically what happens is they develop, like in the countryside, they built very old looking and houses that are built per the plans and techniques of the 1800s.
Oh, like a traditional style.
Right, houses. And they have a big garden outside, and there's a host that actually takes care of you. So you go there, they give you the house for a couple of weeks, even months if you want to, and they will feed you like veggies and fruits from the garden that are super GMO free, whatever.
Yeah. It'll cleanse your toxins right out.
Oh, exactly. And then I think that's one of those activities that you probably won't be able to see anywhere else in the world.
So that's like a bed and breakfast with the food source right outside the window.
Correct. And you have the cows and you have the sheep and you have everything outside, and you have access to all those things.
What was the name of it?
Agro-tourism.
Agro-tour. And then does that involve a company that does a visa thing, or is that?
Technically you don't need a visa to get into Moldova. I think it's a one-time fee that you pay at the customs, and then you're good.
They're not worried about anybody trying to break into Moldova.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wait, so do I have to like grow the carrots, or does somebody else grow the carrots?
Someone else does it for you. But if you want, they can actually rent you a whole, they call it gospodaria, which is like a ranch.
Ranch, yeah.
Like
well,
ranch.
so I'm a lazy American. I don't go on vacation and work, and like gardening and stuff.
They will take care of you for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's one of those things that you can definitely enjoy over there, and traveling around the country in general. Now with the transition and the possibility of the Republic of Moldova being part of the European Union, which we are in the process.
They got a long application.
It is a long application, and you have to fulfill a lot of requirements to be part of. First of all, European Union, then NATO. So with that, you can actually travel freely around Europe, and you can cross the border with a lot.
So if Moldova joins the European Union and gets into NATO,
yes,
what does that mean for those Russian warlords that are hanging out in that little?
Well, to be honest, it's one of those chicken and egg type of situations where you can't really be part of NATO. There's a frozen conflict. This is what they call it, a frozen conflict in your country. That is a frozen conflict because there's like pacifists there as well. Yeah. So it is kind of a pain, or like one of those sticks in your wheel that will not allow you to actually do it. So the first step is to actually get that troop out of the country.
How many dudes are we talking? Like 1,000 or 10,000?
I think last time I checked, there were like 15,000.
15,000 Russians hanging out in Moldova.
Right, the army itself.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if nobody else wants to talk about it. I find it fascinating. This is something we never knew.
Well, I'll tell you a fun fact about that. So one of the reasons why those guys don't want to leave is they opened their own businesses in the country. Now, actually, one of the biggest employers of that city, which is Bender, is it Bender or Tigina? I think it's actually the same thing. So, no, actually in Tiraspol, this is the second city in Transnistria. One of the biggest employers is one of the generals. Of the army, the Soviet army, and he is basically the godfather of the whole country, and he runs everything. So
he's got the guns. So
he's got the guns and the money now.
Yeah,
and he's getting the finance. He gets finance from.
He gets help from Russia. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you see? Oh.
So in my in reality, it's going to be really hard to get rid of those guys because there's too much money involved, and that the guy actually built himself a stadium that was approved by the European Federation or International Federation of Soccer. So it's big.
Weird, yeah.
Right.
Where do you see it? Where would you guess? Obviously, no one could predict. Where do you see that the Moldovan government and the geopolitical issues in 5, 10, and 20 years from now? And then also, do the Moldovan people, the commoners, can they even grasp? Because maybe you have a more global view nowadays, and I don't know if their news that they get might be more local, or even I don't know if propaganda's in there. So
well, there is a lot of propaganda for sure. There are a lot of TV channels, and in general, media is very controlled by the Russian government because of the fact that they're financing it. So in all reality, you could say that, it's a free country. There shouldn't be any outside influence. But when there's money, there is influence. So
you can get me to do some fucked up shit for enough money.
Right. No, that is correct.
You know my price.
That is correct.
I have like a $2 million price tag. I'll do anything.
$2.1 million. Yeah. Liem will leave his morals at the door.
I'll kill a horse and put it on Andrei's bed if you need.
Don't do that.
Oh, come on. It's like $100,000 most. I mean. $2 million's a lot for the horse.
But I'll do. You got somebody that will do it for $2 million.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, don't kill horses. I'm very positive when it comes to that, especially because last year, was it last year? We had the presidential elections, and for the first time in history, we had a woman being elected as the president, and she's actually representing the party that is for democracy, for Europe, for
progressive things.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And the lady, her degree is actually she got her degree at, if I'm not mistaken, Cambridge.
Cambridge?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And she did work in the United States for a long time for the Monetary Fund.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a lot of diplomatic experience, and she's definitely the most fit politician at this moment in the Republic of Moldova for the position of president.
That's great news. Yeah.
So I am actually positive when it comes to that. We have elections in a couple of months for the parliament. So as much as I am concerned, I think that one of the drivers that are going to change the way politics move or develop in Republic of Moldova is actually those people that are outside of the country. Mm-hmm. Because last time in the last elections, the decisive vote was of the people from, we call it the diaspora, the people outside the country that voted for, her name is Maya.
Oh, so Romanians that are working in other places, or sorry,
Moldovans that are outside the country, yeah.
So say they're working in Italy or something and they could send their vote back?
Right, not only work, but actually live. Because you
Okay.
can have dual citizenship.
Yeah.
So you can be an American and at the same time be a Moldovan and be able to vote.
That is weird. I mean, it'd be weird if I was living in Japan for like 10 years and then I'm going to go vote on the U.S. president. I would feel like, I'm kind of not over there. Why the fuck am I voting?
Well, but you're still part of, you're still a citizenship of that country.
Yeah.
So you do have the right to.
I mean, if I was
to
paying
express
taxes
yourself.
back, I would think yes.
Right. Well, you know what? I've heard that from older people in my country.
Yeah.
Like, if you're outside Moldova, you're not supposed to vote. Like, yes, we are. One of the reasons why people actually fled and left the country is because they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So people, and you guys know this very well, people leave their countries not because they want to, because they have to. They're forced to actually get out of the country, find a better opportunity, and especially when you have kids.
It's a desperate situation.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care how you're going to get that piece of bread or clothing. And you have to make sure that they will.
Yeah.
And they will have a decent
No, when
life.
you put it like that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Like, hey, I didn't want to be in Italy. I had to come
Absolutely.
here. Yeah.
It is a big problem, and I was listening to the psychologist the other day, and it's one of the biggest problems in Eastern Europe in general, and it doesn't only affect Moldova. It's all the post-Soviet countries like Romania, Ukraine, Belarus,
Poland,
Georgia, even Poland.
Czech.
Well, Poland it's actually doing pretty well.
Oh,
even
those motherfuckers.
even the Baltics are doing pretty well because they're always a little bit more developed than
I heard one
everyone
time
else.
that a lot of the IKEA furniture is made in Poland. Or
It might be, yeah.
Is that-
there's a lot of companies that outsource, so absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was my point. I mean, people just left the country because they had to, not because they wanted.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What would be some Moldovan
Moldova.
culture?
Sorry, I wasn't trying to take your votes away. I was just learning.
Tell me something about the culture that people commonly don't know about, or something that's maybe even very common about Moldovian. Am I
Moldova?
saying Moldovian?
Moldovans.
Moldovans.
You can say Moldavians, Moldovans. I don't even know what's the right term.
Moldovan? Yeah.
Moldovan culture.
Yeah, I would
What's so
say. Yeah.
common?
So I think if someone from outside would come to our country, they would describe us as very polite and welcoming, for sure. This is probably the first two words that I hear.
Nice.
And it's true, actually. Even if I go to someone's house, I would probably end up spending there a couple of hours at least. The first will be a tour of your house. They will show everything they have. They will show you their house, their garden, whatever they have, the garage, whatever. And then they will take you to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you will probably have the best meal of your life.
Wow.
Because usually the mother or the wife has she's very skilled in the kitchen, so she cooks a lot.
So there's a lot of pride in those.
She takes a lot of pride in those. If you actually see the table on a Christmas night or even like a birthday party, it's full of food. And there's so many different dishes that they cook. So it's a definite feast for sure. So you would probably end up eating at their table, tasting their wine, and 99% of the time you would actually end in a so-called cellar.
I don't know where this is going.
Well, I am telling you where it's going.
I like where it's going.
It's very, especially if like
a basement?
It is a basement, yeah.
Okay.
It's normally a basement. So
Cellar sounds nicer.
this is what we call bish.
Bish.
Bish, which is the basement that has a cellar.
Okay.
So normally outside the city, of course, because
Right.
life in the city life is
You get a
no
little,
different than
you get a
see
little
here.
apartment, right?
Right.
Okay.
So outside the city, people have big houses with big yards,
Yeah.
big gardens, and normally they have a cellar with the besh. And 99% of the time, like I said, they will invite you to the besh, and most probably you will end up going home drunk.
Okay. So they're hiding all the good alcohol down in the cellar.
Very good alcohol, by the way, which is moonshine most of the time.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so is it homemade?
Oh, yeah, it is homemade. Most of the time it is homemade. And it's, but it's not, we don't usually distill any type of like vodka or call it cognac or whatever. But most of the time you will see a lot of wine being
Well, so if I'm invited over for dinner and we're having a nice dinner,
yeah.
if I'm a real asshole, I'm not going to get invited down to the bish.
They might probably try to fix you. If you're being an asshole, they will try to fix you. So they'll ask themselves, maybe he needs a drink or something. Yeah. So they will try to fix you by offering you some
down,
wine.
friend.
Yeah. Let's see who you are. Let's check you out.
On the dinner table, what's a common Moldovian dish?
So there's several ones. I think one of my favorite is stuffed bell pepper with rice and meat. This is very common. Same thing is wrapped vine leaves with rice and meat.
Oh, the grape leaves?
Yeah, exactly. Grape leaves, I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
That's very common. And then we have, it's called placinte, which is basically, I don't even know how to explain. Looks like an enchilada, not an enchilada, but was it Mexican?
Taquito.
No, like the round ones.
Quesadilla.
Quesadillas.
Oh.
So the quesadillas with cheese and parsley,
Nice.
which go very well with wine. You cannot. It's almost a sin to eat one of those quesadillas, which we call placinte, and not have wine. It's like, just like you can throw that away.
Yeah. What's up, Taco Bell?
Is there any restaurants in town here that make good Moldovian food?
So we don't have any Moldavian restaurants or Romanian, but there is a restaurant called BG Bistro, which serves Bulgarian food, but they're trying to be as broad as possible. So they're basically cooking any type of Eastern European
That
food.
region.
Right.
Yeah.
So once in a while, we would go there with some friends and have dinner. It's definitely very close to what we used to have at home.
Did you watch our wine tasting podcast?
No, I will.
That's freaking awesome.
Well, no, I'm just laughing because you're
Did
saying.
they bring wine?
Yeah. We had a full wine pairing board.
amazing.
Shark coochie board. Shark coochie. I'm gonna say
Charcuterie.
shark coochie is funny. Shark coochie board, and then three or four wines. I think 4 wines. It was fantastic, and we had a sommelier here, so he was telling us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a certified sommelier, so he's telling us exactly which pairs with what, and explained to us.
No, but I want to do it with quesadillas from Moldova.
Well, we'll have to invite Andrei and Carl back together.
Right. I'll bring the placinte and he can bring all the wine.
Andrei's bringing the placenta. Placente?
Placinte.
Placente.
Yes. So that's one. And then probably the most common is a sort of polenta, if you guys know how that looks like.
Is that like a rice-looking pasta?
Italian polenta it's like a porridge made of corn.
Oh.
And that,
Okay.
So that's the base,
Yeah.
basically, right? And you have cottage cheese with slow cooked pork. And basically what you do, you take a piece of, you eat that with your hands. No
Not a spoon?
spoon, no fork. That's the best way to eat it.
Wait.
Just like chicken. You have to eat chicken.
Yeah, but it's
with
a
your hands.
porridge, right?
Well,
like-
but it's thick.
Yeah.
It's very thick.
Okay.
So you take a piece of that porridge, right?
Yeah.
You make a ball and you fill it with cottage cheese and meat,
Yeah.
and we make a so-called we call it goguasha,
Goguasha.
and that's the most amazing thing you can have.
Is it almost more like sticky rice than porridge?
Yes, it is like sticky rice, but it's made of corn,
Ah, gotcha.
right?
Corn.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question that I think doesn't. There's no good side to it, but I'll
Go
just
ahead.
ask it. Go ahead. Is there any cultural things currently in Moldovian culture
Okay.
that you wish that they would change? Like things that maybe I'll answer mine if someone were to ask me about
Right.
Vietnamese culture. The thing that I see about the Vietnamese culture is they're not up with the times. We got so much technology, Google, blah blah blah. And as traditions and as economies move and money comes in, I think there's certain things where tradition does play a valuable role in some things, but don't hold back movement. So that's the thing I would say about Vietnam.
Right.
Oh, I could say the same thing about America.
I've never thought about that, but yeah.
Well, I know exactly where you're going with this. So, okay, so I had an incident recently. So I hadn't had Facebook for a long time. So my mom called me like, dude, like all your cousins, all your family wants to know what you're doing. So you just go ahead and open up an account. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to open it and I'm going to add some pictures to it.
Yeah.
What I've realized that there's one phenomenon that's happening right now, especially like in the countryside over there, right? Mm-hmm. So you will see people having access to the internet, having access to Facebook. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, that's amazing. But at the same time, they use Facebook as one of those platforms to, show off. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you know what? I bought myself a new car. Everybody has to know that I have a new car. Oh, I posted something. You didn't like my picture. I'm not going to talk to you for a month. And that's actually, it sounds silly and it sounds funny, but that's what's happening, because my cousin called me. She's like, do you know what? The other cousin won't talk to me. I'm like, why? Well, because I didn't like her picture. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is that what you guys are using the internet for?
This is
Like-
how quickly the social media can derange people.
Exactly. And then they don't talk for years. So I'm like, that's not why you are using the internet. That's not what's it for.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the things that I would love to change. Like I previously mentioned, with globalization and with the internet being available and more available to any part of the world, I would see that as an opportunity to actually increase the your own well-being. There's so many ways to make money nowadays working from home. This is what I want people to focus on, instead of using it for like social media in that case, right? And basically transiting outside conflicts into the online platforms.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah.
If I going back to if that statement that I said applies to America, I would pick two other things that I think would help America more, in my opinion. More empathy and more kind of less snowflake. Don't feel like you're a snowflake. I feel like a lot of Americans, I don't think us, but I feel like a lot of Americans are like, I'm American. I get to do whatever I want. I'm a snowflake. So that don't be a snowflake, have some empathy, and then the political interest, corporate interest at the
Isn't snowflake
level.
more like don't hurt my feelings?
I thought it was unique because every snowflake is supposedly unique.
Yeah, I'm special. I kind of associate that term with like a lack of toughness and being so fragile. Like it's so easy to break somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing the other thing you're describing is being an obnoxious, righteous, self-righteous American.
Yeah.
Feeling like we're better than other people for no good reason, or feeling we're stronger or richer or by some magical property. I mean, yeah, you're lucky to be born in America.
Yeah.
Did you earn it?
No,
That's why I always admire Mexican Americans that come across the border. Like, I never ran across a border to try to get a job to send some money back to my family. Like, how shitty is your situation that you're trying to run across a desert and risking death, right? It's not an easy thing to do. So I've actually always really admired people who overcame so much more, much more than some chump that was born here and had every advantage and, I don't have the coolest skateboard or whatever. Cry me a river. Look around. Is there a lot of people that have a much tougher situation?
I was watching
absolutely.
a recent documentary on YouTube where there's graves along that path that crossing the Mexican border into California and Texas. There's just graves scattered through that desert there because people are trying to make it and they made the wrong turn.
Yeah,
and they ran out of water, they ran out of their food, and they just died.
It's miserable, man.
Yeah.
So that takes us back to the fact that necessity drives change, necessity drives people in general, and it's correct. I mean, I'm actually really happy for the people that complain about small things.
Yeah.
It means that they have a beautiful life and they don't have really
Like
You don't have real problems.
I have so many first world problems, man. Seriously, I do.
That's exactly what it is, and in my mind, that's good. But at the same time, you have to learn how to be grateful for the small things. The other day, actually a couple of weeks ago, I watched the whole season, the whole show of the World War in Color 2, the World War II in Color on Netflix.
How long is that?
That's pretty long.
No, so like 30 episodes or what's the?
I think it's like 17 or 18,
Holy
something like
cow.
that. The thing is, as much as I love history, what that brought as well was it makes you think that, hold on, there are some people, there were people in that time frame. And it's not, it wasn't a year. It was, if you think back, the First World War was like, 1914 to 1918. And then like 21 years later, there was the Second World War. So there were people that actually survived all those things. They survived the First World War. They survived the Great Depression. They survived the Second World War. And there was a lot of blood. So in my mind, for some of them, and especially now with the conflict in Israel, there were some people that actually, for them, a beautiful day was a day with no bombing.
Yeah.
It was a day with no conflict. There was a day with them not receiving a call or knowing that someone close died.
Yeah.
And we live in a society where everything is so accessible and everything is so easy.
Yeah.
And you go to work and you're being paid the wages that are meant to give you the opportunity to survive, to maybe even thrive in this society. So, and we're still ungrateful. So in my mind, I think you have to, and we have to be grateful for what we have and also look forward to improving ourselves and maybe ask for more. Yeah, because this is what the humanity and human being is made to. We always want to succeed. We always want to get to a better place tomorrow. So I think the balance is key for sure.
Yeah. Don't find complicated things to worry about.
Right. And you like small steps as well,
Yeah.
When I watched the Owl and Sparrow movie recently, so it's a Vietnamese movie of a story of a working lady working in the airplane industry as a stewardess, and then a little girl that
Flight attendant.
a flight attendant, and then a little girl that's probably 9 years old,
Oh, younger than that, I think.
7 years old. That
Like an orphan?
yeah, was an orphan that was treated kind of bad, so she left, and now she's on her own trying to make money selling roses or I forget the other one, but it doesn't. So she has a hard life, and then it shows the story of another guy who works at a zoo who they're about to give off his elephant that he's training. But watching the little girl, to me, I actually got teary-eyed watching the little girl struggle, because with my wife, Liem, I get to see some of the hardships in her small town. So her small town that she comes from, when I went to visit her family, I don't know the population, probably maybe a few hundred in that town. So it's just a very, very small town.
Yeah.
And you can easily, I know it's a movie, but you could easily see how close that story could connect. I don't know any children of poverty in her town like that, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Right.
And you see people of poverty that having poverty issues there. So anyways, watching that, it opened my eyes to knowing my first world problems here. I know they're first world problems. I say it, I often say I'm very privileged. I know the things I'm complaining about are first world problems. But then I could also at least reflect when I see a bad situation and just have some sympathy, not empathy, because I've never been there, but I could try to have some sympathy for it.
Right. I have actually a really good example of one of my friends, one of my classmates that we both went to the same school together. Now he lives in Chicago. So he recently married this girl. She's American. And he decided to take her home to his parents. The difference between him and me, I was born in the city. He was actually born in a village.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know, you probably have the same thing in Vietnam, where in the old times, even today, you will see houses that have electricity, but they do not have a bathroom, or let's call it a toilet.
Right, modern plumbing.
In the house. So technically you have a small shed that has a hole in it, right? And that's your toilet. So for me, growing up, because I used to spend the summers at my grandma, that was normal to me, right? Even though I was used to the fact that, look, I live in a modern house in the city, and I have all the commodities, and I have everything that I need, but I knew what that is. Well, this guy tells me that when they flew back to Moldova, and especially his village, they actually did not have all those all that comfort. So the girl was supposed to use all those things that he was used to when he was a kid. Yeah. And the girl was crying. She was actually crying. And now she was not crying that she was actually uncomfortable. She was crying because she had no idea that some people actually still live like that.
Oh, they're just crying. She's like, "Oh, I accidentally married a peasant."
Well, I think that actually, in my mind, I think that actually made her love him even more.
Yeah.
Because when you survive in that type of environment and to go through the toughness of those years and that time, then it definitely makes you a better person and more a stronger person for sure. So in my mind, I think she kind of realized, and that was almost like a little cold shower for her because she woke up and said, look, those are first world problems that we have back home.
It sounds like she was really caring about those people, though. Like she's felt bad for them. Yeah,
100%. And she definitely appreciated her life a lot more when she came back. And this is exactly what he told me. So I'm really glad she did that.
I know a big problem for me is like I'll go to a drive-through and it's like a $6 burger, and all I asked for is no mustard. And these motherfuckers are going to put mustard on it. Like, it's enough to ruin my day. I got to go inside and talk to the manager and explain, hey, look, the one thing I asked for was no mustard.
Right. Well, aren't they saying that the biggest fear nowadays is to leave your home with your phone on 5% or something like that? So, those are the problems we're having today nowadays. Well, which I'm glad. I mean, thank God we have those problems because...
Yeah.
Again, looking back at the wars and the times that our parents had to go through.
Yeah, tougher times.
Thinking back to your childhood, what were some of your best memories in Moldova?
So I have several, but I think the one of my best memories. We're just talking about this, going to my grandparents during the summers. So my parents were very busy with their work, especially when we were like out of the crisis. There were a lot of work. Yeah. So instead of just leaving me at home, they would send me to my grandma. And my best memories were spending time with my cousins.
Wait, how do you know they weren't doing mafia shit while they sent you off to the farm?
Well, I don't know about that.
Were they richer when you came back?
I don't want to know. Yeah, they were a lot better when I came back. So.
Everybody retreated them a lot better. Yeah. A lot of respect.
Take the kid out. Yeah, so spending time basically in the field, because that's what we're doing. There were a time where the collectivism disappeared and everybody had cows at home. It was not a collective society anymore, because this was the basis of communism, socialism at the time. You didn't own anything. Everything was owned by the government, by the society. So you had to like share everything, right? Yeah. Well, after the 90s, all those farms were basically destroyed, and people had took their share. Yeah. And in many instances, there were cows and land. So the main activity for a peasant at the time was to work on the land and take care of animals like horses, like cows. Yeah. So I think one of my best memories was to actually, this was the teenagers' activity at the time, and especially in the summer, we're not
Don't say cow tipping. Don't say cow tipping.
Oh my God, no. Okay, no. It's a different part of the world you're referring to. I think.
Yeah, stupid Americans.
No, that's not what I meant.
No, Americans would go push a cow over because they're fucking bored.
No, we wouldn't do that. Actually,
it's too valuable.
Living among, like in the village and having so many animals around you, I think it helps you develop a very strong connection with the animals, and being among them, I think that was very beneficial. So my grandma used to have cows. She had sheep. She had goat. She had like anything you want. I don't think she had horses, but chickens.
That's what Emmett wants, a horse.
Because you probably cut his head or something.
No, I'm not just running around cutting off horse heads for fun. It's only if it's a good joke for somebody who likes mob movies.
Okay. So yeah,
ridiculous.
So walking around the field with my cousins and taking care of those cows, that was probably like one of the best.
Did you name the cow?
Oh yeah, they all had names.
Were they like normal human names, or are there special cow names?
So you know, there's a tradition over there. When a cow is being born, they give the cow the name of the day she was born. So that was Sunday. Her name was Sunday. Yeah.
Okay.
Which in Romania is Duminica, which like short is Dumana.
Yeah.
Domana. Right.
All right.
So you could have multiple cows named Domana.
Yeah. Well, I've never thought about that.
And nobody's lucky enough to have 7 cows.
Yeah, that is true. You're a very rich person if you have more than 2 cows that were born on the same day.
When you say that memory of you, were you actually taking care of the animals, or were you helping?
I was just around because I was just a kid.
Do you remember what was in your mind exactly at that moment? Just the freedom of being a kid, or did you actually think about, wow, my parents have this plot of land, and maybe that capitalist thought came?
You're putting a lot on a kid here.
Well, you know what? I like that because we did have land, and especially in those crisis years, the only way we survived was my parents would have an 8 to 5 job during the week, and then the Saturdays, which I hated, was to actually go to my grandma's house and work the land, like literally work the land,
like plowing
and even though sometimes I actually look back and I'm like, Mom, I remember when we were like doing this and that. But she's like, Andrei, do you understand that at that time, those 2-3 years, that potato that we got out of the land, or the carrot that we got, actually helped us survive the winter.
Yeah.
And right now, like looking back with the life that I have today, it's outrageous. I'm like, I can't even imagine how we were doing that. Even if I would tell my mom, like, can you do that tomorrow? She's going to be like, no. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
do it.
plow stuff.
No way, no way, because nobody wants to go back, right, to those times. And
Yeah, people aren't dying to become farmers again.
no,
Yeah.
no. Although they do have like a small garden
Yeah.
next to their house, but it's just like like a hobby.
That is a fascinating thing. Like, say, if you're super poor, you got nothing. If you get a cow, that cow can transform grass. Like it's walking around eating all this grass, and it transforms it into manure and milk and beef, right?
Right, absolutely.
So that's pretty
It's a closed cycle over there.
fascinating. Yeah.
And this is one of those things that I'm trying to explain to some of my peers, especially here. For example, like when I love Mexican food for the same reason, because they use all the parts, like say the body parts of a chicken, right?
Yeah.
You will have hearts, you would have estomago, which is the stomach, right?
Yeah.
And I love those things because this is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And in those times, especially when you live in a country that's so poor, you have to use everything. You don't throw anything out. You're using everything. So, yeah, that closed cycle is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Plus, they also like quesadillas.
For me, being around Asian foods and eating much more of the cow than most Americans do, a lot of Americans will make fun of me for eating those other pieces of the. And I actually get angry. I'm like, fuck you, man. If you knew that if you didn't have food, if you were poor, if you were in poverty, you would have to eat this shit.
Right.
And not that it's shit. It's to me, it's good because I was raised. I understand
Right.
it. I know the flavors, but it upsets me that they are so far from what surviving used to be. Right. I understand we are so privileged. I understand that. I wish they would understand that they're so privileged.
right.
And they are so far that they can't even fathom that. Why would I eat that piece of that stomach lining or whatever else?
Absolutely. A chicken is not the chicken nuggets at McDonald's. A chicken is an actual.
So would you eat chicken feet?
I do love chicken feet.
Isn't it just like a bony claw?
No, it has a lot of gelatin. If
The cartilage or the
cartilage, and it actually creates a very it gives a lot of to be honest, I haven't had that in a long time, but a month or two ago, I decided to make soup, like a chicken soup, but a legitimate chicken soup with all the ingredients. So I went to a Mexican store, actually bought chicken feet. You cut the nails and you clean it up real well. You put it in the soup, and actually gives that flavor that you will never be able to taste anywhere else.
Yeah, feet flavor.
No.
Well, that's exactly what you said.
Well,
Is
it's
that the
not-
wrong conclusion?
No, it's
in the
not.
feet. It's you're not licking the you're not licking the dirt off the feet because obviously
Correct.
you cleaned it. But inside the foot, there's so much cartilage. There's a certain different type of fat in there.
Gotcha.
So you get those flavors.
Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. So you're right. I mean, at the time you had to use everything, and to be honest, I can't see any other food being better than that.
Do you guys eat beef tongue?
I love beef tongue.
Yeah.
Love beef tongue. There's like an actual dish in our Moldovian culture where you boil the beef tongue and add gelatin to the liquid, and it gets it's called recitur. I can't even explain. I don't think there's any other country that actually has that
Tongue
dish.
jello.
Almost tongue jello, yeah. So you have the jello and the tongue inside. Dude, you have no idea how good that is.
I have no idea.
It's really good. By the way, you can go to that Bulgarian restaurant. You'll definitely try that.
Tongue jello. I just don't want to eat something that's tasting me back.
Well,
dead.
hold on. So I'm willing to try fried grasshoppers, although this is not part of my culture.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't try tongue? Come on.
No, I didn't ask you to eat fried grasshoppers.
But I would.
I think I'd be okay with tongue. Putting it in a jello is kind of weird.
Well, jello is amazing, by the way. That jello is really good. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. What's the weirdest dish you guys have in Vietnam?
In Vietnam, either
There's a spicy soup that has congealed blood in it, right? Is that a...
bom bao way. So it's way is the city. Bom is the noodle. It's like just a thick round noodle, and then bom bao is beef. So beef noodle, and Hue is the city. Hue, their spices. They're more spicy. There's more spices grown there, so the soup is a spicy beef soup
From Whey.
From Whey, yeah, from Whey.
Nice.
But inside there is a
Congealed.
blood, pork blood, cow blood. I forget. I don't remember. It's
Blood
just
is blood.
Yeah, it's just blood. So it's like a hard Jello.
Okay.
And
So talk about super nutrient rich, right? Is that
yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
We have something like that. We call it sinjarata, or in Russian it's kravavitsa, I think. It's basically the same thing. It's a lot of pork fat with pork blood, and you basically make a salami type looking stick, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
if you tell me it's salami, I'll eat it.
Okay. I'll put some beef in it with some jello.
Yes.
Some of the other dishes that strange dishes, I guess, exotic dishes. I think it was cow brain. I had turtle.
Is cow brain squishy?
It is soft. The way they did it, it was very soft. It was like kind of like a tofu-ish.
I hate tofu.
But I mean, you could see the brain. It looked like a brain when you look in the
Just
movies.
scooping it out of a bowl
Okay.
or what?
They had it in a soup, and the brain was sitting in the soup, so you could still see the brain.
Okay.
Do you feel smarter?
No,
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say.
It didn't help that. Then duck tongue was another one.
Very smart for a cow.
Duck tongue. The only thing that's strange is they keep. I think it's the jawline they keep in there. It's attached to the. I'm not positive. I think it's attached to the jawline.
And you
Like an
suck
oyster?
it like an oyster?
No. They grill it. They grill it. So you get like a Y. It's like a Y piece, like the jaw.
Is the tongue itself forked?
Crap, was I eating it? Does it go back to? I don't remember. I remember there's two pieces. The jaw goes out like that. And I remember a Y piece. I don't know why the Y would come out.
Do you bite the tongue and leave the jaw? Is that what you're talking about? Is it a bill?
No, it's not a bill.
Duck bill. Okay, no.
Yeah, I don't understand why it was a Y shape. But anyways, yeah, you bite off the meat and then that's it. It's just the shape is weird, I think. That was the thing that was just weird to me.
What does it taste good?
It was all about they put some barbecue sauce. I mean, add barbecue sauce at anything. I don't care what it is. It's gonna
KC
taste-
masterpiece.
Yeah, it's gonna taste good. It wasn't. It was like a peppery, salty barbecue sauce, a Vietnamese style one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, you put some Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning on.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest dish you've had, or weirdest dish in maybe Moldovan?
Moldovan
culture?
cuisine culture. Well, okay, so I mean, in my mind, there's nothing weird about it because it's
Right.
the things that I grew up
comfort
with.
food.
If you ask someone else, probably if I was actually watching this YouTube video with Americans trying Russian, because that is a Russian dish that we basically imported. Because of the Russian influence, right? So,
Yeah.
So that is the holodets, which is rechitur, which is the meat that was boiled, and then there's the jello that comes with it, right? So that's probably the weirdest one of all. I think
Is it in a brick?
it's not in a brick; it's in a
when you see it?
long dish, like
So
a long
circa.
plate. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it looks amazing by the way. I'll show you later. Another one is probably the fat. So we have such a they call it salo in it's Ukrainian. So basically, what happens is when around Christmas you cut the pig, right? But a good landlord or a good household actually has the biggest pigs, and in order to make them big, you have to feed them a lot, and they're very fat. So there's a thick layer of fat that the pig has when he's ready to be cut and
Yeah, slaughtered.
Correct. Thank you. So what they do is they cut big pieces of fat, and like they look like bricks, like you said, right? So
I think we've just lost all the vegetarian viewers.
right? Well, that's not me. I don't.
Drop it out.
So what they do is just like Americans have bacon, right? Stripes of bacon.
Yeah.
What they do is they cut very thin slices of fat, which is very dense, and they put it on bread. So that's
Ooh.
something that usually you would have with some caviar, like actual red caviar on top, and of course some vodka.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that's pretty weird too. Like in
Salty?
my mind, it is salty because you put some salt. But if you're wealthy enough to have caviar on your table, then it's already salty. So in my mind, that's pretty weird because think about it, it's a piece of fat on bread. That's pretty messed up. But it's good.
I mean, but I'm not a big caviar fan either.
You're not?
I mean,
What's wrong with you, man?
I haven't been hungry enough. I got all these cheeseburgers easily
Okay.
available.
All right.
I can go drive through and complain about.
Right. Well, Russians are well known to eat caviar with spoons and drink vodka with that. So
Yeah. That's a weird thing to me. Is like, how do you capture these fish eggs?
Well,
They get a big one and they cut the belly and they.
that's exactly what they do.
Do they eat the rest of the fish?
No, I guess the fish actually heals from it.
No. It doesn't heal. So usually that fish gets. I think they cut it in pieces and then they create this paste for animal
To feed other animals?
Exactly. So have you ever heard about powder, like fish powder? So what they do is, I don't know if it's, I mean, they do it here in U.S., but I think I've seen like countries that use that for like in order to grow animals, and it's a booster for growth.
Yeah, you get protein.
It's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
I had actually an interesting situation where my mom bought some, when I was a kid. My mom bought some pork meat.
Yeah.
And she was cooking it, and at some point I thought that she was frying fish. And I couldn't understand because I'm like, Mom, this actually smells like fish.
Yeah.
She's like, it does, and I don't know why. Then we realized that probably the farm that it came from, those pigs were fed with fish powder, which is not common anymore because that's illegal.
You're saying you are what you eat?
You are what you eat. That's definitely a good connection. Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, why is it illegal to do the fish powder thing?
Because it doesn't taste the same. So number one, and then I think now with going green and all that, all the food has to be certified.
Like, hey, this is not pork. This is fish disguised as pork.
I swear to God, that thing tasted like fish. You would eat pork, but it tasted like fish. It's amazing. But you are right. You are what you eat. So now thinking of that, I thought, well, I never actually paid attention to, when you eat, like read a label, you don't really care where's it coming from, right? It's food, whatever.
Right.
But in all reality, it does matter because it will define the final taste. So,
How much family do you still have in Moldova, and how much family do you have? Did they move here?
They're all on Facebook.
So they're basically here, with me all the time.
You guys all better subscribe to this channel.
My iPad is ringing all the time. So no, I don't want to be a dick.
Can you show them some bling right now?
I actually don't have any family here. I have friends, but I don't have any family here. My closest family is my cousin in Canada, but all my family is back home. But I'm the only child, so if I would have a sister or brother, that would probably be different.
Yeah.
But
Are your parents are your parents still in Moldova or are they still alive? Or, yeah.
They're alive. They actually just talked to them an hour ago, a couple hours ago. Yeah.
So they prefer to be there, or would they want to come to the U.S. somehow?
I don't think they want to come to U.S. Both of them work in the construction business, and they're doing pretty well. So I want them to be happy. So they're going to come visit me in October.
Okay. If you ever need a family, you can call us.
Thank you, man.
I'm not going to eat your weird shit, but
I will make you. Do you want to try pork with the taste like fish?
That's illegal.
Okay. We'll make it happen. I got you.
We're going to powder up some fish and feed up a pig for a year.
Right.
The work and travel program, is that something that's available? That's available internationally, I'm assuming. That's all countries?
Right.
No, we can't go work in Moldova.
Well, people that want to come to America, do you have any advice for people that are looking to come to America through work? Is that program easy to get into?
It is easy to get into. I think the main requirement is that you actually speak some English at least. But
So
anyone can do
learning English can be a ticket to other places.
Absolutely. Well, this being probably the most used language in the world, it's definitely a plus to know it. Well, it's all dependent on the consul, of course, the guy from the American embassy, because you have to go through an interview. They want to make sure that you're coming back, right? We don't need you here. So
Well, you trick them because you're here.
well, I did it in a different way. So I did use the work and travel program, but and we're gonna get to this soon. That's like a temporary thing, right? You just do it through the summer.
It's an experience.
An experience, yeah. And I have a lot of friends that did it, and they have good memories. And now they look back and they say, "Oh, that was a beautiful time." The way I immigrated to U.S. is a little bit different. So there's this program called Green Card, the DV lottery, to be more specific. Basically, what happens is through the trying to diversify the population of U.S. The U.S. government has this program that gives away 50,000 visas. You probably guys know about this, right?
No, I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about this one?
I'm already here.
Okay, you don't care.
No, I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying I don't know
Selfish
anything about it
bastard.
because I haven't had to.
Right.
Well,
so-
it's a funny thing. You know, we're probably the most diverse nation in the world. So to have an incentive to diversify is the idea. Like, we don't want all certain countries. We want to give other countries a chance to
That
be
is
a part
correct.
of this.
And that's the main focus. Those 50,000 visas that they give away every year are directed to the countries that are being represented the least.
50,000 worldwide, not to Moldova.
Worldwide.
Right? Okay.
Worldwide, yes. And because of the fact that, and it has a political aspect too, because of the fact that the Soviet Union, the countries in the Soviet Union, pre-90s could not actually travel to U.S. because there was the Cold War.
Yeah.
There
Very
was not a
restrictive.
lot. The post-Soviet population in U.S. was very low.
Yeah.
So now they have the opportunity to actually come to U.S. and live here and get a citizenship.
So you won the lottery.
I did, yeah.
What was? Do you feel there was anything that you did that gave you an? I know
Did you
that's
bribe
That's a
somebody?
good question, yeah, because I am still.
I was gonna try to ask you a little bit more tactfully.
Yeah, I am still confused. I am still confused because I don't know exactly how the government is working. By the way, if you guys are listening, hello.
Hi, Boris.
You didn't check my phone last night. What happened? Are you guys busy? Well, I don't know how that actually works, but I think it did somehow affect, because they're saying it's a lottery, but in all reality, I think there's a process.
Only the really good-looking people seem to win.
Yeah, the beautiful ones and the talented ones too.
I'm theorizing because I've heard about the lottery. Even when I heard about it, I wonder there's probably some type of filtering thing. Even they call it a lottery, I imagine they filter before picking the lottery. So meaning, say they have 200,000 applicants per year. They probably have more.
They have millions of
Yeah.
applicants
So they're
per
probably looking, okay, this person has a degree. This person learned English.
Right.
This person doesn't come from a heavily communist dictator country that could have been brainwashed. However they do that criteria, I bet you there's a filter, and then you probably came through that filter because I think I'm guessing when you applied, you fluently knew English, you had a degree.
Right.
I don't know what other factors. Those are the things when I kind of heard about this lottery, that's the things that come to
Right.
mind.
I think that's how they do it behind the scenes, but they're only saying that the only thing that you need to be eligible to apply to this lottery is have a high school degree and some college, I think.
Yeah.
So do you want to stay in the U.S. indefinitely, or do you feel like you'll go back one day, or what do you feel is your...
I honestly don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm very happy where I
Yeah.
am, and I'm definitely enjoying every single day
Yeah.
on this free land.
He has a badass vehicle, by the way. He's driving a Dodge Durango.
I am very patriotic to be, yeah, that is, I mean, it's one of those things, right? I've always wanted to come to US, and in my mind, that was just something like a dream or something unachievable. But I guess the stars lined up, and it happened.
Nice.
So,
What do you think the common people of Moldova think of Americans?
now it depends. The society is still very divided for different reasons. One of the reasons is we're almost like 50-50 pro-West, and like 50% pro-West and 50% still pro-Russia. And you will see that a lot of that 50% that are trying to like maintain that Soviet mindset are the people that are like in their 80s, 70s. But change is inevitable, and with time you can actually see that the new generation has a different perspective of how things should work. And I would definitely say that the new generation, the youth, has a very good attitude towards West and US in general. And I'm one of those people because I did grow up with Hollywood movies, and seeing that culture, seeing that mentality, you just can't go back. So most of the people that I know are very, very pro West, pro capitalism.
I've always said that the one thing the U.S. does well is exports movies. So, you know, you make a movie like Avatar or The Avengers, like the whole world's going to see Spider-Man, right? And to those people, it's just, you know, an amazing, like an Avengers movie. On the face of it, it's ridiculous. You know, this guy's flying around, fighting gods. You know, it's silly, but what it unintentionally does is it exports American values with it too, of here's the hero, here's the good guy, you know, you're saving the children, you're saving the, you know, you're getting the gal, you know, so it built into those movies is these American values.
Right.
And in a strange way, if you see this amazing movie, wow, that's cool, you know, he just punched out an airplane, whatever's going on in that movie, you're accidentally kind of being exposed to those American values.
Absolutely. And I think it's actually not being even done on purpose. I mean, let's be honest, it's a capitalistic country, and the main goal when you try to export a movie is financial. But
yeah, they want to make your
not
billions
knowingly,
of dollars. Yeah,
not knowingly, they did export a lot of, way of thinking, a lot of the culture, and people see that. And that's why there's still a lot of countries. And I mean, let's call them, like even North Korea does not accept any movies from the West, because if people see that, they will ask themselves, hey, something is wrong. Something is not okay. So I think that was one of the drivers of countries like the post-Soviet ones that decided that, hey, we have to do something about it.
How could Kim Jong-un be stronger than Captain America?
Absolutely.
It's got a funny haircut.
Right. So that's one of the benefits that the Hollywood movies brought. That's definitely one of them. And I mean, it was, for me and my family, it was something very normal on a Saturday night to watch a like Hollywood movie. And probably my best memories were when I would hear the 20th century music, dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah,
you know, like that's my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, something good is gonna happen. Like something amazing will happen. And it doesn't really matter if it's a comedy or a romantic movie.
Yeah,
those were the times where I'm like, yeah, this is what I want.
Huh. Interesting.
So definitely that worked as a model for a lot of countries. And I'm not only talking about Moldova. I'm not talking only about the Soviet countries. I mean, Hollywood is everywhere. Every continent knows the big names in Hollywood.
Yeah. Liem's looking at his phone.
Oh, what hobbies do you have? Random stuff.
What hobby do I have, Amit?
He likes sushi.
I love sushi.
Oh yeah,
that is actually true. I do love sushi. I mean, like if you consider eating a hobby, sure. Yeah, I love sushi, especially when it's all you can eat. That's my favorite.
Welcome to America.
Well, I do love to cook, for sure. And it's based on the fact that I want to eat healthy. That's number one, I guess.
You've been playing some volleyball, right?
Yeah, we are playing volleyballs on Tuesday, which, by the way, you guys are invited.
Yeah.
We have several mutual friends that are doing this. I was trying to convince them to come, and now they're part of the group, and they're regulars every Tuesday. They're playing volleyball. We all are. So yeah, I think sports, that's working out and trying to stay active as much as possible.
Karaoke.
Definitely karaoke. Well, music in general. I mean, to be honest, in the beginning, I actually considered karaoke as a something bad, because I'm like, oh my God, like anybody can sing. No, that's not okay. You have to be you have to be talented. But in all reality, that's a good thing, right? Because I mean, I have some musical background, so karaoke is definitely the thing, like a go-to, right? Like I said, cooking, love meal prepping, dinner.
Can you tell us about your tiny hot tub that you bought? Are you still using that?
Oh yeah, it's on. Well, it's funny. It's okay. You're not allowed in it.
Andrei bought a very small hot tub.
It's actually not small. It's pretty big. It's a 4 to 6. They're saying, but I think
What?
6.
I thought you had a 2-person one.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't. I don't know. I think it would fit 4 people.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I want to.
Is it smaller than the average American hot tub?
It's probably the same size.
All right. I'm thinking of a different hot tub then. This one
Maybe.
This one looked like.
Well, I did send you some pictures, but they were like just memes.
No, we were at your place.
Oh, okay. Was it small, really?
I thought it was a 2-person tub.
No, it's not.
Okay.
You can fit more than 2 people. But
You're gonna have to send me another picture.
Maybe 2 fat American.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, so like an average American tub would be bigger than that table. It would be bigger than this table.
It is bigger than the table.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you have to. You'll have to come to my place one day.
I didn't know you had a party tub.
Well, you can consider if you just put your legs in it, you can fit like 10 people.
No, we all got to get in.
Well, that's actually a funny story, because
If I just put my feet in, then you're going to see me peeing.
well, don't do that. It's a funny story because I wanted a hot tub, right? So I was looking like on the internet, and I told somebody that I want a hot tub, and someone in the office actually heard that. They're like, "Hold on, I know a guy that actually is selling a hot tub."
Yeah.
So I basically ended up paying for a $6,000 tub. I paid only $1,000 because there was somebody that was trying to get rid of it.
Yeah,
because he was upgrading to he was building a pool with a tub.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look what power of word and the way the word actually travels.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's why you have to speak up all the time.
I would like a $10,000 hot tub for $1,200.
Everybody,
delivered in Las Vegas.
Let's
to
help
my
the guy.
backyard.
Let's help the guy. But no, I mean it sounds funny, but at the same time, it's a fact, right? You have to speak up, and people will listen to you.
Yes.
And you never know when if you have a problem, you never know where the
Also, I mean, if the Raiders cheerleaders want to come over to my hot tub, then that would be great too.
Okay. Oh, you want to spread the word?
I'm spreading the word. I'm manifesting.
Okay. You have to think about it.
The fuck it is.
Right.
Right.
And absolutely. Yep. What
No,
else?
I mean, what's that?
What else do you want to talk about? What else do I have in my house?
I mean, I could buy a minivan if they need a ride.
No, that's my job.
Yeah, Andrei will pick you up, bring you over to the
I have a
hot tub.
7-seater, so
You have a big, yeah. Andrei will give you a free ride to the hot tub if you're some kind of professional cheerleader or bikini swimsuit. Yeah.
yes, please.
Right. The professional dancers are invited to the hot tub.
Right.
I would buy a giant hot tub if there was a demand for beautiful women to come swim at my house. I would buy a giant hot tub.
That makes sense. I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I would definitely do the same.
This is real talk.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Where there's demand, there will always be an offer. So I'll make the offer. Just
right. We got free transportation, a well-maintained giant hot tub.
right. Absolutely.
We'll cater it. We'll bring all the food you want. Food and alcohol.
Absolutely. Alcohol always.
Get a DJ.
I'll DJ.
There we go.
We're all set. Just
You
come.
don't want to be in the tub?
I'll do everything. Yeah.
I'll be a slave. Sorry, did we totally derail the
No,
podcast?
it's good conversation.
We've lost all the vegetarians, and we've turned this into some kind of sexist fantasy.
Misogynistic conversation. No,
Yeah.
no,
My
we're
bad.
very respectful.
Sorry.
All guys think this way. So for women to think that guys don't think this way, it's probably 99.9% of all guys think this way.
We want you to know what we're actually thinking, even though society is lying to you all the time.
Right, correct. Well, you know what? It's the funniest thing is to actually listen for a couple of girls talking to themselves when there's no man around.
Oh.
So that's a good conversation too. I've heard those too. So I'm
Where
like,
were
oh my
you
God,
hiding?
I thought I'm misogynistic. You guys. Okay. All right.
I thought I was fucked up.
Let's not point fingers. Yeah.
Earlier when Emmett asked that question, where do you want to retire? I think America or Moldova. I think you asked that, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
What factors come into mind to you? Is it healthcare? Is it fun? Is it opportunity? Is it family?
Well, Andrei's not that old, right? You're like 30?
32.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm 38, and I've been thinking about similar question. Do I want to retire in Vietnam or in America?
Mm-hmm.
I probably started thinking about that when I was
Younger?
30.
Yeah.
It's because you hate work.
That is a good point. So you know one of my reasons.
I know. So in my mind, actually, I actually thought about this a couple of times, and I'm having this conversation more and more with friends like you, like Dan. It's a good point. In my mind, I think I want to retire somewhere like just like you said, somewhere where there's accessible healthcare, because one of the big issues here in U.S. is probably that it's very to be healthy, to stay healthy is very expensive.
Yeah, we have great healthcare, but it's so fucking expensive that it'll kill you.
Expensive, exactly. So in my mind, probably the best location or part of the world for me to retire is either Moldova, because of course I have my family over there, and it's a lot cheaper to actually survive when you're that old. And with some money aside, I'm pretty sure that can be a decent retirement. But at the same time, I also considered countries like Costa Rica or Chile or somewhere on the south.
En español.
Sí, señor. Somewhere in Latin America, because
is Andrei's
so
mic
much
close
cheaper.
enough to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
I wonder the macroeconomics of that. Say America is pricing its elders out of wanting to retire here.
It's a real problem. If you're a senior and you don't have income, you get some kind of social security check and it's not enough to live on. It's a legitimate problem, right? Unless you have good family support, how can, say you get maybe $1,000 a month or something on your social security. If you don't have any other
Income.
Yeah. How do you?
It's hard. It's hard. It's funny that you brought that up, because I was just so we have a division of engineers, right, at the place that where I work at, and my boss was asking, can you actually recruit some people because we need more engineers? So I thought of this guy that I used to work with when I lived in San Francisco, and I called him, and I haven't actually had no clue that he's actually 66. So in my mind, I'm like, are you still working, dude? He's like, yeah, sure. And how long are you?
What's retirement? What's
like,
that?
yeah, what is that? So how long are you planning to work for? And he's like, well, I'm going to work at least for 4 more years. And that's 70, right?
Yeah.
But if everything goes well, I'm probably going to work until I die. So in my mind, I don't think he's actually doing this for fun. He's actually doing this because he has to.
So like if he could, he would retire.
I'm pretty sure anybody would retire if they could. I would retire now if I have to.
Yeah,
if
work
I have
sucks.
the means and the money. So it's sad, but you're right. You need a second stream of income.
Well, here's what's really weird is I think retirement is a fairly new concept. Like before World War II, people didn't live that long. Like,
expectancy was low.
Yeah, you lived like if you were 60 or something, you're an old man.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't as much of a thing. But as we can live longer and longer, I guess we're living to a point where you can't do a whole lot. You can't be out working in a field or doing engineering or something, but you're still alive. So it's, we value our seniors, and nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to commit suicide. Those seem not good solutions, right? So there's this we're in a weird place in history and in society where people can live a lot longer, but we haven't figured out income for them.
Right.
So I think, my father's parents, they died when he was 19. So, retirement wasn't a problem there. But then he got to live to 73.
Right.
So that's a different equation. So in America, we've had this idea that you're kind of retirement's a goal, like everybody gets to retire, that you're entitled to this thing, that maybe it doesn't work as it stands.
Right. So what I've heard is that by the time that our generation actually retires, there might be no money left in the Social Security, which is actually kind of makes sense, because just like you said, with the current technologies and the current healthcare and people live a lot longer.
Yeah.
So let's face it, the population is aging real fast. We don't have, especially, in US as well. In my country, it's actually terrible. Like, all the young people left.
Oh yeah.
And all that's left out of that country is the old generation. So at some point you're gonna get where you'll have 90% of the population will be retired. So someone has to actually close that gap. Someone has to take care of those people.
Yeah.
Who's that going to be? There's no money left.
Yeah.
So same thing in the US. Let's face it, there's not enough people that are the new generation is very limited.
They're not saving up money at all, much less having enough money to retire themselves or support parents that are retiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's another problem. If the baby boomers were kind of the bulk of the population, right? Because they were the ones that brought these youngsters, the people that now are probably in their best shape to actually bring value and bring income. I'm looking at my peers and even you guys, right?
Yeah.
You don't have kids.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm going to have kids in at least in the next 5 years. So
do
who's
you
coming?
want kids?
I do want kids.
But economically, you're saying no.
There's more factors to that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So in my mind, this is not unique. If you look around, you'll see a lot of youth, a lot of young people our age that are actually in a good financial position, and they have good jobs and they have good income, but still they do not want to have kids.
Right.
And
We're gonna end up where Japan is, right?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So in my mind, if that's the case, what's coming after? Who's going to take care of us?
We robots.
Okay.
Robots or the uneducated that's just populating the earth. The uneducated, the low. I shouldn't say the uneducated. The
less skilled or unskilled labor.
Yeah,
Less fortunate.
right. Less fortunate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, we've been going. This country has been going through different leaderships and different parties that rule the country, and some of them were pro-immigration, some of them were not. But again, at the same time, if you think back, immigrants kind of closed that gap that was created by the fact that there's not enough kids being born, and again, people that will take care of the others when time comes.
Yeah.
So
The Filipinos.
or Moldovans.
I joke because we have a lot of Filipinos in America, and a lot of them are in the healthcare industries, in the caretaking business.
Right. There's a lot of RNs I know that are from Philippines.
But I mean, that's true. Yeah. So it's all relative to what your original situation is and what your opportunities are.
Right.
I'm incredibly lucky. I was just born in Chicago. So how lucky is that in the lottery of life to be afforded all of this opportunity and education and infrastructure? I'm the first one to complain about the U.S., but how many billions of people around the world would trade shoes with me in a heartbeat?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
I don't want to sound dramatic, but I was watching this documentary about an Indian city or village, call it whatever.
Yeah.
Where the guy was trying to provide for his family, and he realized that the only way he will actually be able to bring some income and survive would be to buy one of those motorcycle rickshaws, where he could actually transport people like a taxi.
Yeah, taxi guy, yeah.
So in order to do that rickshaw would cost like $4,000 or $5,000 at the time. So what he had to do, and this was actually a documentary shot during the entirety of the process.
Yeah.
He had to sell one of his kidneys, and he actually did that. He sold his kidney on the black market in order to get that money to buy the rickshaw, and he did it.
Yeah.
But if you think that's terrible.
Yeah.
You live in a country where you go to work from 85, whatever, and you can not only survive, but put some money aside, maybe invest in your dreams. There are some people around in this world at this time that probably cannot afford a pound of rice.
Yeah.
And it's still happening, and it's sad.
Dude, in America, it's like a pain in the ass. Like, oh, you want me to write up a fucking resume? Like, I got to put in your format, and I got to write down the shit I used to do. Oh, you want me to wear like a collared shirt and a fucking jacket to this fucking interview?
Flip-flops.
So I can get an air-conditioned job at a cubicle. Oh, I only get an hour lunch, but it's not included. So I got to work 8 hours outside of the lunch hours. So I got to show up. I got to commute and drive there. And this other dude had to fucking sell his kidney.
Exactly.
To trade in for a used ass motorcycle taxi.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's super sad. I heard that the average pay per day in North Korea is the equivalent of a half a pound of rice or a pound of rice, call it whatever.
Yeah, North Korea is miserable. That's like a country that's a prison.
Right. So,
those poor people.
But there are it's sad that there are countries that still live like that nowadays. So again, let's be grateful for what we have.
Yeah.
And what that brings actually my question for you, because I just had the same conversation with Dan about kids.
Yeah.
Do you have a reason?
It's not money. Like, even if kids were monetarily free, like if it didn't cost me a penny, I still don't want kids personally. I don't get that same joy that other people seem to get of raising that child and giving that child everything, because it's a sacrifice of everything else too. You know, it's, I don't know. Am I too spoiled? Am I too selfish to want to give to this little bastard that's going to, mouth off to me when he's in high school,
right?
Or she's in high school, and then they're going to call me when they're in jail, and then they're going to date this piece of shit that I don't like. And then, when they're 30, they might come back around and appreciate me.
Right. Why are you so negative? Your kid might be the next
it's statistics.
Einstein.
You look around and you go, are most Americans awesome, really loving, great people, or are they assholes that are trying to buy an 80-inch TV and cut me off in traffic?
Right. So I was listening to this podcast on Friday, and it was just in the queue. I don't even know how that came up. And this lady was talking about parents nowadays being very concerned about their kids and who they're going to grow.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, don't you think, you being you, and I know you're a really good guy, you're very responsible and very disciplined. Don't you think that you being their model, their role model, their example, don't you think that you will actually have kids that will at some point supersede your expectations?
Yeah. The thing that scares me about that is that I've seen really great parents that were like, oh, they did everything right. They put the kid in school and they made all the right sacrifices, and they seemed like the best job you could do as a parent. And then somewhere the kid, meets the wrong friend in high school and turns into a total fuck up. Mm-hmm. There's a certain chance to it. It's like, man, I could invest more than anything I've ever done and still have a bad result. Or even something like having a disabled kid. That's got to be so heart-crushing to parents who just want a healthy child that they can bring into the world. And if you start off disabled through some random chance, we have the best, medical technology in history, and there's still some reasonable possibility that you have a child that's not normal and healthy. It's like, fuck, how difficult is that? And the other thing that scares me is like, well, shit, a lot of days it's all I can do to shower myself and microwave something to eat.
Right.
How much effort do I have to get up at 6 to get this kid off to school,
Right.
and help them with their homework after work and be a great role model and not cuss around them and say all the right things. And
Right.
so it's a huge responsibility that I see a lot of people do well, and I see a lot of people do it terribly. And I'm not confident that I have that resolve and that reserve of strength and determination to do those things right.
Right.
If I had to, you would, because you love the kid, right? But would I choose to take that on if I can avoid it? Would I rather be out whitewater rafting somewhere? Would I rather be off? Yesterday I kind of drank all day. I don't do it very often, but like I started at Lee's Sandwiches with a meetup group, and then we ended up at a bar next door, this awesome bar in Vegas called Golden Tiki. Had a couple drinks there. I didn't get smashed, but like throughout the day, I'm drinking at Golden Tiki, and we end up going over to a distill for a couple more drinks and get some food.
Right.
And then I actually had a dinner appointment, like a happy hour, and I drank there, and so I kind of fucked off all day, and it felt nice because I don't do that very often. But
Right.
As a parent, a lot of those choices disappear, right? Everything's for the kid. You run out of as many options. You can't really plan that next trip to another country, because it gets real hard.
Yeah, so I actually made an assessment the other day. I was trying to make the difference between, because actually it all started from this meme, and it said
Memes are teaching us
memes
things.
I love memes because they bring so much truth to the table, right? So the meme said comparison, right? A out of the office email notification in Europe. Hey, I'll be out for 4 months. I'm going to I'm flying to this island. Don't call me. Do not text me. Don't email me. I will talk to you in October.
Yeah.
That's European type of out of office, right?
Yeah.
Out of office email notification in US. Hey, I'm out of the office for 2 hours for a kidney surgery, but you can call me or text me anytime. So as dramatic as it sounds, that is actually true.
Yeah.
And this is the work ethic in corporate America. And it's sad because I'm trying to get a vacation for a week, and it's not that I can't. I do have those. I actually have my vacation maxed out. I have so much vacation.
You've accrued the hours.
I have accrued the hours. Like I have them all. Like I have plenty of time off on paper, but in reality, I can't really do it because there's so much responsibility on a daily basis, right? That you can't really. I don't know, just
like your projects would crash if you
well,
unplugged.
not really crash, but I wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that I'm not there.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, it's a work ethic issue, right? So in all reality, like all I can do is take 1 day off or 2 days off, and then when I come back, the work is still there. I'm still gonna have to I'm gonna have to do whatever I missed those few days. What I've seen happening in Europe is a little bit different. People actually do take a month off, and they come back and nothing changed. You know, and they can actually do it. And this is actually really close to what we discussed about kids, having kids, responsibilities. I can see someone in a country in Europe that would actually have plenty of time to have a kid.
Yeah,
like even parental leave, you can take up to 1 year over there.
Right.
I have this coworker. She just had a kid, and she came back 3 days later. I'm like, this is inhumane. This is not okay.
Wait, so she gave birth, and 3 days later she's back
she's
at
just
work.
back in the office.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's not okay. This is not normal. How are you going to make or convince a millennial age a girl or woman or a family or a couple to have kids if there's you're not giving them any resources to do that? You're not
at the very least, you're discouraging and disincentivizing them.
Absolutely.
From
There's
having
no
children.
incentive to do that. Absolutely not. And And this is, again, corporate America. It's sad.
Yeah, it's terrible because if you think about you not taking any vacation or this gal having to go back to work, it's like, what are we doing it for? We're doing it for that salary, right? Because you know that if you, in the end, if you take that time off or if you don't come back, that you're putting some jeopardy on that salary, right? Somebody else will get the job or you'll impact you negatively in the workplace. So we're killing ourselves for this corporation, and then the corporation is maximizing profits for these shareholders. And so in the end, in America, you have this giant population of people not slaving away, but like working insanely hard or working in very dysfunctional ways to maximize the profit. And if we don't own any stock ourselves, then we're giving that money to people who are rich enough to have all the stock.
That is correct.
So it's a very strange dystopian thing where once you can turn a company into a publicly held structure, then those stock values are all that matters to the investors. They elect the board of directors who choose the CEO, who squeeze that company and all those employees
Right.
to maximize profits. So you've made this weird animal that squeezes the blood out of these workers to give to the owners
Correct.
in a way that we've come to accept. That seems normal to us because it's all around us.
Right. Yeah.
And we're not smart enough to say, that really sucks. Why don't we do something different?
But again, like my dad says, go and take a walk. Like that's what he says. Go take a walk. If you don't like it, go take a walk. That's the golden rule of an open market, right?
Does that mean like walk off the job, like get a
no,
better
just
job?
go take a walk. Go get a better job. Like you don't like it, just go away. But that's the thing. The company will tell you the same thing. You don't like it. You don't like it, just go. We're gonna find someone else, and that's true. We work in a very competitive environment that unfortunately is directed to make shareholders happy. And this is corporate America, right? You don't work for yourself. You don't work for the company. You work for the shareholders, and the main goal is to make them happy. But again, what's the price that you have to pay, to achieve that, right?
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing is, say you're working really hard to get that salary, right? And if it's a good salary, then you're being compensated, and you're trading your blood, sweat, and tears. You're sacrificing to get that money, right? I think the shame is that most Americans aren't spending that money wisely, right? They go piss it away on these material things.
Right.
You know?
And no, that's absolutely true. I was actually reading this book. It's called The Millionaire Next Door, and they talk a lot about the rat race. And we've read that in Robert Kiyosaki's book as well, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Where the main problem nowadays with getting a good job is be careful not to get into the rat race, right? Because what happens when you get a raise, what happens when you get to a bigger position, the trend and the normal way of doing things is, okay, I'm gonna get a bigger house. Normal in that's the way society works, right? You get a bigger job, you get a bigger house, you get a bigger car. And you're right. I think we lack education when it comes to that. We don't lack technical education, but we do lack financial education, and this is one of the main problems that we. And not even talking about like third world countries. There's no financial education over there whatsoever. Over here, still you have something, right? But
you can go find it.
You can go find it. But in like generally speaking, I would probably say 95% of the youth has no financial education whatsoever. The main problem is you spend what you make, and more you make, more you're gonna spend.
And you can buy it on credit.
So
and that next phone comes out, that $1,200 phone is awesome. So I want that.
Yeah, and I blame Instagram for that. I'm actually not kidding. I think media and social media in general is the driver for all that. And I think consumerism is very beneficial for a healthy economy. Absolutely. But we're
self-destructing every day.
Yeah. Where are you stopping? Where are you changing the way things go, right? Because if you're going to always go for the next iPhone, always for the next car, or always for the bigger house, you will never be able to be independent, right? And this is why probably a lot of people cannot afford to retire, because this is what they did during their whole lifetime.
They've outspent their earnings.
Absolutely.
I agree with everything you guys pretty much said. I had a few things I wanted to add, but nothing important. So
We were ranting too hard.
no. It was all stuff I agreed with. I'm going to walk us into the final questions.
Da-da-da-da.
That's
Great daily habits do you have?
great daily habits? I think something that I'm pretty proud of is waking up in the morning and working out. That was a very, very long transitional period. It's not that easy, but now I am. I love doing that.
Wait, so you wake up and do push-ups, or what do you do?
Different workouts. I have workout stations at home. I don't know, just random, like arms, triceps.
So you got some weights at home.
Free weights, and I also have a pull bar. And I have a bicycle as well. So that actually helps a lot. Like helps you to wake up.
Yeah.
And the day just starts much better. I think that's one of those things. And maybe throughout the day, I try to stay healthy when it comes to food. Trying to stay away from alcohol.
It's not working?
It's not working.
When you added that it wasn't easy, what got you over the hurdle, or what got you there?
Well,
Past the hard part.
right. Well, I realized that I was gaining weight. So
vanity.
I love resolutions. Love them. Like especially the New Year's resolutions. Those are the fortes in my life. So this is probably the 4th year I'm having a New Year's resolution.
The same one.
And no, I'm actually not doing that. No,
Okay.
no. So that works pretty well. So one of them was waking up in the morning and actually exercising.
So,
And
so you said your resolution is I'm gonna exercise when I wake up, and then since January 1st you've done it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's how we know you're not American.
Right. Oh.
All right. Next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency? Now, I know you already wrote in the email that you're not really for cryptocurrencies, but go ahead, answer the question how you will, and then I'll add some stuff to it.
No problem.
Or maybe
So,
Emmett will.
Why do you hate cryptocurrency?
I do not hate cryptocurrency. I do hate Bitcoin though. So, okay. So my stance is that crypto is the future of currency. That's definitely a fact. I don't know what form it will take because it has to be globalized in a way or another. Because if you want to trade and you want to exchange currency between different countries, it has to follow a certain standard. And I know that the main idea of a cryptocurrency is like decentralizing it and making it as independent as possible. But when you're talking about big bucks, when you're talking about big transactions, you have to make sure that it somehow follows some rules.
Okay.
We live in a time where the volatility of those coins, even if it's
values are all
Dogecoin
over
or
the place,
Ethereum or Bitcoin, are so up and down that at this point, I still don't understand what is the real and the true value of one of those coins. Is it a viable technology?
$2,442.
Right. So is at this
Right
second,
now,
in 5 seconds later, it's going to be different, right?
$2,447.
Yeah. So in my mind, as a technology, it's a great thing. It's definitely the future. But the problem that I have, especially with Bitcoin nowadays, is that most of the people that I know or that are invested in it, they don't really follow, and they're not invested in it for the technology. They're just invested in it for the quick profit.
Yeah, I love quick profits.
Me too, when they're real. So I think that's the downside of it. In my mind, there will take some time until we will actually have something in stone, in concrete, until we actually have one currency that is.
Well, we have many currencies now, right?
We do.
We have U.S. money. We have, the euro. We have, say, Japanese yen. Those are all different currencies with fluctuating values, right? In relation to each other, they move.
Okay. So what's the what's the point of not having one? What was the point of having several cryptocurrencies? Isn't the idea to globalize one single?
No, well, we
currency
already
and
have
make it
many global currencies.
Okay.
So it'd be, I mean, so if I give you an Australian dollar right now, is it worthless?
No.
It's worth something somewhere, right?
Right.
If I get you some money from Colombia, I think they're using bolivars.
Bolivars, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Or pesos. No.
a lot of countries are pesos, yeah.
Right.
But if I gave you enough pesos or bolivars, you could still go buy a boat with it, right?
Sure.
So I think currency is, as long as somebody will accept it somewhere,
Okay.
if somebody will sell you a boat for it or sell you something, or if you can buy something with it, then to me that tells me it's a viable money. If you can spend it somewhere,
Okay.
the US dollar is the most spendable thing, right? You can spend the US dollar in the most places in the most ways. So in a way, it's kind of the global currency, even more so than gold, right? There's more places you could buy stuff with dollars than if you walked in with gold. It's really hard to buy stuff. So to me, the dollar is the world currency that you can use in the most place, almost anywhere, right? So there's other currencies that still have value. A cryptocurrency, a lot of people will trade you something for your cryptocurrency, right? The value of it fluctuates a lot. On one day, it could be wildly different. But, can you buy stuff with cryptocurrency? Yeah, in a lot of places.
In some places, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, and I haven't received an answer to this specific question that I'm gonna ask you. So let's say I am a dealership, right? And I'm planning to buy 20 Bentleys
A car dealership, and you want to buy 20 Bentleys, yeah.
today,
Yeah.
right? The guy that I'm buying it from in England actually accepts crypto.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm making a contract with him supplying me those cars every single month for a period of, let's say, 1 year and a half,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to pay him in crypto. I'm signing the contract today.
Yeah.
At this moment, crypto is $50,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm
Say a Bitcoin is worth $50,000. Yeah.
a Bitcoin is
Yeah.
$50,000. How is it viable for him as a seller, as a manufacturer of those Bentleys, if I'm paying him in crypto today, and by the end of my contract, when it reaches, let's say 1 year and a half from now,
Yeah.
Bitcoin is at $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's highly possible.
it's highly possible. So
Yeah.
my question is, how is it financially profitable for that guy to sign a contract with me in Bitcoin that would technically lose value by 1,000% or whatever, 90%?
Yeah, that was a bad deal for him.
Well, isn't that the point of a contract, to be beneficial for both parties?
Yeah, so in the dealership case, right, if this guy's selling you all these Bentleys, he would be smarter to sell it in something more stable, like probably dollars, right?
Okay. So wouldn't it be so much easier to just pay him in dollars, though?
Yes, but if that guy thinks Bitcoin will double in value in a year and a half, then he would take a risk and he'd say, hey, you know what? If you pay me in Bitcoin, I'll take your Bitcoin.
Okay, but that would be a risk for me then. Then it's better for me to actually pay him in dollars, because holding the Bitcoin that I have will double in value
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, so you should hold it.
So you see, so it's, if ultimately we're still converting that currency in dollars, then
Correct.
it does make sense.
Well, it does make sense, because if you look at the long-term trend, so take the graph of Bitcoin from day one to today, has it gone up or down?
It's going up and down,
But from beginning till now,
right?
more often it went up.
Okay.
Otherwise,
So do you think how long do you think that growth will be sustainable?
I don't see a reason for it to ever stop. It might level off to a slower growth.
So in a perfect world, that might get to like $1 million worth per Bitcoin.
In a perfect world for me, it would go up as fast as possible, as soon as possible.
Okay, so you do own Bitcoin.
I own some Ethereum, more Ethereum than anything else.
By the way, which reminds me, the Russian dude that created Ethereum,
Vitalik?
Vitalik.
Is he Russian?
Yes, he is.
Like born in Russia?
Yeah, he's
Nice.
100% Russian. 4 days ago, said that all the crypto is overvalued and it will go down in price.
Oh, it did, yeah.
And even more.
Yeah. So when the stock market crashes, then do you say, well, I don't see the point of the stock market then?
No, actually, I find it as an opportunity to buy more.
Okay, so I would see cryptocurrency more like a growing asset than a daily currency.
Okay.
To me, that's how I view it. It's something that a normal dude can buy, a normal person can go buy some cryptocurrency, and over the long run, it'll increase in value.
Okay, so in my mind, there's a big difference between an asset as backed up as a company, like a stock, let's say, right? Or an ETF. When you own an ETF or a stock, you actually own a piece of a company that has a physical presence. They actually build something. They actually manufacture something. They actually offer some specific services.
Yeah.
Right? When you own a Bitcoin, you own something that is not physical.
I would contend that your stock ownership is not physical either. Because if you own a Facebook share, what do you own a piece of? The online presence? Because it's not $50 billion worth of buildings and employees and trucks and products. It's an app on a phone.
You own the servers.
What's that?
You own the servers.
I mean, what if they run it on Oracle computers? What if their servers are off over at Switch? You know, what if they run anything off-site?
Okay, but I don't own Facebook.
Well, I would contend that most stocks right now, their values are detached from the reality of the, because ideally the stock should be worth, hey, the company has some assets, they got some buildings, they got some trucks, and we're going to look at their earnings. They're probably going to make this much this quarter, and if you extrapolate that out, they have price to earnings ratios. A 20 PE ratio used to be really good, but now it's 40. You know, this is all kind of nonsense to me. Like the value of Coca-Cola stock, what is it attached to?
It's attached to their future earnings.
But it's way beyond.
Well, okay, we're talking about two different things. Is the market overvalued? Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's more things that you have to consider. And one of them is, I think, inflation. Because when inflation kicks in, and it already did, and it's going to get worse, then technically the value of the stocks today are real. And they are showing the true situation at the moment.
That they're overvalued.
Well, you think they're overvalued, but if you take in consideration the inflation, they probably not.
So if you wait long enough, it'll deflate down to its real value?
No, it will not. Okay, so let's connect that to the money that were printed so far.
Sure, that's a whole different topic.
You know, it's not, but it's technically connected to the stock market too.
Yeah.
Because if most of the money, what is it like? What did they say? 80%, 90%?
I think I heard 40-ish, somewhere around there.
Right. So let's say 40% of the total amount of dollars that are in circulation today were printed in the last year. Then technically, a stock market being overvalued by 30%, it's actually even lower than what their true value should be. Don't you think? If you had to pay the same amount of money yesterday, and today we have triple as much money in circulation than we did yesterday, and the stock value remained the same, then technically that stock value is actually undervalued.
But the money is still worth the same because my $2 can still buy a cheeseburger.
Well, you'll go into the store in a couple of months and you'll see that you're going to have to pay twice as much for the milk and the meat.
Yeah. So we have that. We have inflation built into the U.S. currency.
Right.
typically around 2 or 3% a year. Is that?
But that's normal. Yeah, that's 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
But they're saying that there might be an inflation up to 6%.
Sure. Inflation sucks,
Right.
especially if your wages don't grow.
Right.
But that's not why I buy cryptocurrency.
Okay. All right. So what happens when crypto is being developed by an entity like Bank of America or even the government, the U.S. government?
Right. They could develop centralized, controlled cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just digital money. So do you not believe in digital money?
I do because I use it.
Yeah, because we get our paycheck directly deposited, and we get this card, and you can connect
Correct.
to your phone. You could show up and pay for stuff with your phone.
Absolutely.
So digital money is here. It's whatever people choose to accept. So some people choose to accept Venmo. Some people accept a Zelle. Some people accept a Cash App,
Right.
right? Or you could probably pay me through Facebook or WhatsApp, or there's probably 100 different ways to pay me.
Right. So what you're saying is that crypto is actually not a means of payment. It's just an asset that you invest in.
Oh yeah,
thinking
I could send Liem some crypto right now, and he could give me something back for it.
Okay, but do you think that the volatility that
It's a
has
problem, yeah.
now,
Yeah.
is it supposed to be that way?
No, well, it is. I don't know. I mean, supposed to means was it designed that way? No, I mean, nobody wanted the volatility. It's just there.
All I know is that if something doesn't have a fixed price,
Yeah,
I can't really use it.
you buying stocks that don't have a fixed price.
Well, the stocks are being calculated based on their performance.
I don't know. Supply and demand.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they will produce something, right? They will work toward, even Facebook will produce something. It's a platform, let's say, to generate cash by, like commercials, like having commercials.
So
on
then
it.
Ethereum
Advertising.
has produced some games like CryptoKitties, and it has produced this weird art thing where you can buy an NFT license to a piece of art. You could buy the original tweet NFT. So there's some weird things you can buy.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
I don't care for those things.
Right. So, okay. I have another question then. What about money laundering?
Yeah, that's illegal no matter which currency you use.
Yeah, but it's easier and it's facilitated by crypto can facilitate that too.
Sure, you could do it with cash too.
Right. What about drugs?
It would be easier for me to buy illegal drugs with dollars than with cryptocurrency
How come?
because heroin dealers love dollars.
Cash.
Yeah.
But what if you don't want to deal directly with the guy and you don't want to meet him in person? Wouldn't it be easier to just send him crypto?
Yeah, well, that doesn't make the coin illegal. I mean, if you do something bad with anything, that's like it's illegal to kill people. So if I use a hammer to smash somebody's head, hammers are bad. But on the whole, hammers build a lot more houses than head smashing.
Okay.
So anything can be used illegally, I think.
Right. But I think it's much easier to transfer a certain amount of Bitcoin to an overseas account than
Yeah.
it to actually send cash.
Sure. It's easier to shoot somebody than to smash their head in with a hammer.
So how do you mitigate those problems?
I don't need to. I didn't invent the shit.
What do you think, Liam?
Oh, I'm on the far side. Like I'm polar for crypto all
Gotcha.
the way.
It's going to save the world and solve all crime.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it would solve all crime, but it there's a natural balance of things, and I think crypto far helps way more. Paradigm shifts, magnitudes helps way more than what the bad.
There's a lot more
offers.
good things you can do with it.
Way more.
So benefits?
Decentralization. For people to understand decentralization, this is a paradigm shift on data and money. If you have an entity that always controls something like the government or the central banks, you can never get an equilibrium because they dictate everything. So decentralization brings a uncontrollable third party that's always truthful. So this is a whole paradigm shift to anything that we've ever known. This is something that we've never had the opportunity as humans to ever use before. So I think this will help bring a paradigm shift that could help. I know there's a lot of bad things that can happen, but the same thing as the US dollar, any fiat that can bring about crime, drugs, whatever else. One that I use often, an example, would be insurance companies. A car insurance company, you pay so much onto this, whatever blockchain that uses or cryptocurrency that uses it, you pay $50 a month. This car insurance company says, we'll cover you for $10,000 of damages. When a car accident happens, you get an auditor that comes. Right now, the current system is the insurance company sends an auditor currently. On the blockchain, what I foresee that could happen is you have a third-party auditor that is 50% rated towards the insurer and 50% towards the insurance company. What that does is completely, hopefully an unbiased audit on the situation. So the auditor comes out, gets paid via, the whole blockchain is set up where the insurance company and you would probably pay the auditor some amount has been balanced by the market.
Some fee for his work.
Yep. And it'd be balanced by the market. So certain auditors will be picked more and less, but it eventually.
For the claims adjuster?
I think the auditor, claims adjuster. Maybe my terms is incorrect too. I'm not sure.
I was using insurance terms.
So they would come out and take a look at the damages. They would take a look at, was it your fault that caused the accident, or is it the person that hit, or did the other person hit you? Were they at fault? And they would sign off on it. And then, I don't know, maybe you would need however the blockchain and rules are set up, whatever lawyers are partaking into this, maybe they need 3 third-party auditors, adjusters. If it's, let's just go with 3 for this example. 3 come there, check it out. All 3 say in favor of you that the other person caused the accident. So that person's insurance will pay you. So this all happens via blockchain, and you get 3 auditors that are unbiased. That's a paradigm shift. Right now, I fucking hate that. Anytime I get a claims adjuster auditor, every fucking time I have to write a letter and say, this is what happened. This is how much my vehicle was. You offered less, and this is a situation where I wasn't at fault. So the money should come from their insurance. Every single time that I've had any accident, I've had to do that.
Why are you crashing so much?
People shouldn't be crashing into me.
Right. So, okay. So my question is then, why do you guys think that centralizing a currency is bad?
Power corrupts.
Okay.
Well,
so in my mind.
Well, so the massive inflation that is coming is coming from your centralized treasury and Federal Reserve, right?
But you're being part of a society, and that comes with it. So in my mind, centralizing things are actually good. You know what?
Some kind of communist?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
What I'm saying is centralizing is actually creating a set of laws and something that you follow as part of a protocol to be part of that society. So in my mind, centralizing is having traffic lights. That is centralized.
See, but I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I got nothing against U.S. dollars. I just think there's this other new money that's coming about.
So if you're talking about crypto as a hedge fund against inflation or a substitution for gold, I get it. But still, gold is not as volatile as this new currency is. So
yeah, but if the overall trend is up, I don't care if it's volatile, as long as it's wildly up.
Or up.
So how long?
More than stocks for you.
Right. So how long do you think that growth will still happen? You said it's infinite, right? But again,
you know what? If it isn't, then I'll ride it till it stops.
Okay. So when it stops, what do you do?
Cash out.
I think there'll be a plateau. My theory is I think there'll be a plateau where enough money, there's 37 trillion M0 money in the world. Cryptocurrencies at 1.9 billion? Shit. Is it billion? No. 1.9 trillion market cap. So I think crypto can go up. If you get all M0 money, which I doubt it would, but you could get M1 money. M1 is home loans, stocks, I think, is in M1. I might be wrong. I think derivatives is M2. So anyways, I think you get all M1 cash, all M1 money in. M1's huge. It's freaking, I'm guessing 1.4 quadrillion, I think. So you could get that all into crypto, and then we could all live crypto. I think that plateau could happen. And this is me being very optimistic about crypto.
Like utopian
crypto world. We could get there, and it would help. You would have decentralized car insurance. You would have decentralized government, as in voting. You could vote on the blockchain. You wouldn't have Trump saying that he didn't win the vote because he would have won. This cryptocurrency doesn't fix the problems of humans.
Did you say Trump should have won?
Trump thinks he should have won. It's like a great tool, the hammer situation. It could be great to work on some nails. It could be used to kill somebody. Or you could forget about it and you could have a nail and not know how to put the nail in. So cryptocurrency is the best tool I think humans have ever, one of the best tools.
After electricity and the internet.
After electricity, internet, and the wheel probably, and fire. So
okay, so a couple of questions then. What happens when the market is being over flooded by new cryptocurrencies?
No, I
because
think
it is.
I think it'll balance out. The useful cryptos will stay around, just like websites. We got Google, Facebook, Twitter, website, YouTube,
Alta Vista, CompuServe.
So those ones will slowly go away into non-existence.
Okay. Then another question. Then I'm just trying to. I'm not an opposer, by the way. I want to make myself clear.
No, it's good to be skeptical.
I think crypto is a good tool when it will be used properly, right? But what happens when the government says no, and they say we're gonna interdict, and we're gonna make it illegal?
In my optimistic view, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're going to not be able to partake in the global market in the future. That's my opinion.
So several countries have. I think Turkey recently
did. Yep. And then I think China's trying to build their own. I mean, they already did the virtual EM.
China likes to do their own thing.
Right. So in my mind, what happens? How far are we willing to go to actually keep it alive? Do you think people would actually go in the street and try to protest and go against the government?
I used to worry about what if the U.S. outlawed cryptocurrency, but I worry less about it because so much Wall Street money is now in cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. And there are congressmen that own cryptocurrency and are trying to pass bills to promote and support it.
Okay.
So now that the dirty money and the dirty power at the top is in the game, I trust them to protect it for me.
Okay, so
let me take it the other route. Let's say what if a government, say the U.S. government, this is my theory. I know it's crazy far-fetched. Let me just play out the scenario. U.S. government bans crypto and they hold the ban. They say no one in America can use crypto.
Fuck crypto.
Fuck crypto. You're going to get other countries like Norway, Sweden, China, Vietnam. Well, Vietnam, I don't think they're governed. Germany,
Japan,
all developers who know crypto and understand this decentralized is the future of everything, because everything's going to touch it. As much as when I say everything, the internet, the phone, everyone has a freaking phone on them. That's how crypto is going to be. Mm-hmm. So when all these developers around the world say, fuck America, we can't even work on cryptocurrency and improve technology. When you see these insurance companies using third-party auditors, when these developers in America say, fuck that, we're going to move, or it's maybe generational. These other countries are going to start flourishing. Their economies are going to have all these new technology. They have this new insurance that doesn't have an insurance company. What the fuck? You're going to have this Uber that doesn't have a Uber headquarters. What? How the fuck is that going to work out? Their economies are going to be so strong that America is going to say, oh, fuck, we fucked up.
You could, playing off that, you can see historically any country or society that has not embraced technology did not do well. And any country or society that embraced new technology got ahead real fast.
Okay, right? So how, if U.S. develops their own crypto, like a government crypto, and other countries will actually deal with that, and they will trade via U.S. government-made crypto, how is that not being part of a competitive environment?
I don't know your question.
So basically what I'm saying is, first of all, the countries that will want to trade with U.S., they will adjust to the government's U.S. government's expectations. And if U.S. wants to trade government issued crypto, this is what other countries will, because let's face it, everybody's following the United States.
Yeah.
So saying that, okay, U.S. is out, all the rest of the countries in the world are actually trading crypto, that is not true, because we don't see that happening yet, right? So if you see a chain reaction like China, Turkey, and now say U.S., all the other countries will do the same thing. They will just ban crypto and they will create their own crypto.
Oh, well, like I said, I'm not worried about the U.S. banning crypto at this point.
Right. So to just add to what you said about Congressman, and I don't even have to talk about Wall Street or Congress.
Yeah. Wall Street buys a lot of
I will tell you about Elon. Let's talk about Elon. Yeah. I never thought he's a pump and dump type of guy.
You're calling him a pump and dump.
But that's what he did, because what he did was he speculated on it as much as he could. And he said, we're going to accept crypto or Bitcoin. Yeah. He increased the value of his company. And the money that they made in 2021 on crypto is actually a lot higher than the sales that they had with Tesla. Mm-hmm. And then he dumped it, because as soon as he dumped it, he said, no, we're not going to accept crypto anymore.
Was it reported that Tesla did sell Bitcoin?
They sold, I think, 1/5.
1/5? I think it's actually more. They will not tell you, because it's not in their best interest. They will tell you when it's all over. So my mind is, there's so many speculators nowadays in this environment, and there's so many people that are doing the pump and dump thing, that I am not surprised that one of the people in the Congress actually did the same thing. And I'm pretty sure in a couple of months he will sell it and do the same. Say, well, that's stupid. We're just going to ban it.
Yeah. So I see a lot of Wall Street money buying in big ways. And I think because they're so addicted to making money on stocks, that this is a new higher cocaine game for somebody who's a hedge fund guy.
Right. So for Wall Street, that's not like any different than pumping a stock and dumping it and then buying it again.
Yeah.
It's just a mechanism of making quick bucks.
Yeah, I like big bucks.
And I cannot lie. So again, not an opposer. It's just too much speculation nowadays in regards. And again,
okay. So you're saying it is too wild and unknown for you to want to buy any.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Some people are conservative. Some people are risky.
Right.
I would say the smartest first asset you should buy, if you can, is a primary residence in the U.S. If you can buy your home somehow, that's usually a really great first move, because you got to pay rent anyway. So
right.
So wherever you fall on that spectrum, I'm lucky that I had bought a home, and I didn't buy any stock yet. I kept waiting for the market to crash, and it never did. I kept waiting for the market to correct, and it never happened. And then I bought some crypto that's done really well.
That's good.
So
good for you.
I've started buying S&P 500 every month. I buy a little bit.
That's a very good thing to do.
Yeah, so that's an easy way to buy into assets. And then that's the trick, right? Instead of going out and buying consumer goods that lose value as I own them, I'm trying to buy assets that grow in value.
Absolutely.
So that's nice. So that's kind of just how I see it. What are the three things that a normal guy like me can buy? Real estate, stocks, cryptocurrency. I don't know a lot of other stuff I can buy that I think will go up in value over time.
I am in a position to think that at this point in life and at this age, we have to have multiple streams of income for sure. Mm-hmm. And you are right, having a primary residence, right? Mm-hmm. That you pay every month via mortgage. That's probably the best investment you can make, especially now with the inflation again. I was actually listening to Ken McElroy. He's the real estate mogul that he's very good. He's, by the way, his books are part of the Rich Dad Poor Dad family.
Yeah.
So he's endorsed by Robert Kiyosaki, and he was saying that in times of inflation, cash is a liability and debt is an asset. And it's true. If, let's say, in a perfect world, if you get, what was the lowest interest rate we got?
Below 3% for borrowing.
So let's say 2.5, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if you bought a house at 2.5% and the inflation is 5, basically the state is paying you that 2.5%.
Right.
Because, again, you're paying a lot less than the inflation is.
And
So
the money is devaluing.
right. But you still own the house. You still have it. So so that's number one, right? That's probably the best asset you can have. I do believe in stocks. I do believe in owning companies, especially growth stocks. Again, even having ETFs that are following S&P 500, that's at least what 8 to 12% a year income
Historically,
yeah, and in good times it's a lot more, right? So and again, I mean, I think the next step for me is to get a second house as an investment, because that's something very like you can't go wrong with that, right? Unless you're buying at a high.
Yeah.
But over time, it's still gonna.
It's very hard to lose in real estate over the long term. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, by the way, which reminds me, like, do you think there's going to be a correction in the market soon?
It doesn't look like it. It looks like our best hope is that it'll level off.
Okay. Oh, level off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's too much money chasing too little equity.
That is true.
Yeah.
And with all the people moving to this area of the state.
Yeah, there's a lot of influx to Vegas. I mean, there always has been, but
Right.
there's a lot more money coming with them now.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, they're coming with cash.
It's
Californians are coming with cash, and they're flooding the
It's nuts.
city.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, I got three more questions for you, and we're kind of at time. I mean,
Nice.
as long as you guys are okay with time, but
Sure.
so you may want to blast
No,
through them.
I want to talk Andrei into buying crypto.
My cheerleader thing for crypto would be put in, if you can, $10,000 or $20,000. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but a down payment on a house is probably going to be between $20,000 to $40,000. But
No, it's too volatile. He would never risk that much.
if you can put in 10 to 20, I would imagine, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. With crypto, in about 7 to 10 years, it's going to be retirement money. So do you want to risk, do you happen to have, I'm not asking you to answer yes or no. If someone has the available income or savings to put 10 or 20,000 in crypto and do a second house also, I mean, the second house would make your life potentially easier in the long run.
No, you got to deal with the tenant.
That's why I said potentially.
Oh, they're going to fuck up your toilet, man. That's what they do.
But with crypto, you get that potential for retirement. So that's my cheerleader thing for crypto. I totally understand about the second house. The first house, that totally makes sense. The second house, that's where I would probably, in my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, where I would kind of try to weigh out the risks and costs. I understand a second house, you almost can't lose on a house, but crypto gives that potential for so much more return.
You know how you could test it though? You could go back to say, what day did I buy my house? How much down payment how much did it cost me to buy that house that day, right? And if I had taken that chunk of money and bought this much Ethereum on that day, how many Ethereum would I have?
That's not fair.
Why not?
That is not fair. What if you do it? Well, okay. What if you do it a month ago?
Yeah.
And you calculate the same thing,
Yeah.
and with the money that you lost on crypto.
Yeah. So if you pick the downtrend, you're going to lose money. Yeah.
Well, no, I bet you in 7 to 10 years, you will still be able to retire off of that.
Really? So in my mind, it's actually going down. So if it stabilizes at 5,000 or 10, and it's like you said, a plateau, then I'm probably going to go in.
Oh, okay.
So that's my thing. Like,
So you do believe there is some future increase in value there?
I think it will stabilize and it will stay like that.
Oh, okay.
But nobody knows. Again, if I would know,
Yeah.
I would have been.
If I had a crystal ball.
Exactly. I have some friends that bought Bitcoin at $50 in 2010.
Are they ballers now? Are they rich?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
They
they,
deleted
in Moldova?
they deleted their Facebook.
They're not your friend anymore?
No.
That's funny.
All right. Next question. Or are you guys done?
No, it's funny. If people find out you're rich, they treat you different.
I know. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Or if you're broke.
Yeah. You have a lot more friends when you're rich.
What's the biggest problem for humans? What should they do to fix it? And feel free to answer quickly if you want.
Right. So I think the biggest problem right now is
reproduction.
Overpopulation, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. As much as we have a problem with it here and in some countries where there's not enough like kids being born, overall, we are still overpopulating this planet. And there should be a limit, I think, what can be done. And I mean, several countries have it already, but I think, number one, we have to make sure that we are balanced when it comes to population.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think about it. Like a lot of countries we're familiar with, say the U.S., there's less than 2 kids per couple, right? Mm-hmm. We're not at replacement value.
Right.
So, and then there's a lot of countries that are probably like all the like Japan definitely, and probably a lot of European countries aren't wildly growing. So with so many countries that are negative replacement value, there must be some countries that are just banging out children.
Africa. I think
Africa, China.
Africa is supposed to go 4x in the next 50 years. So Africa is going to be the biggest population in the world. Shoot, I forget the numbers.
Yeah. India's already got 1 billion people. Yeah. Are they still multiplying like crazy?
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are. Well, that's one of the problems. And I think second one is global warming, even though a lot of people don't believe in that. I think polluting this planet has to stop. And I'm really glad to see a trend in...
Dutch Triangle.
Okay, you know what? At some point, I will. Just kidding. It's actually only a 3.5. So,
well, I joke about it, but I think us individuals is not the real problem. It's big industries and government policies, and
and that give us the means. That's the thing. If I would have the opportunity to buy an EV SUV at the time when I bought the Dodge, I would have bought an electric.
Yeah, car. It's coming. Yeah.
But it's coming. That's what I'm saying. And this is why that's what makes me really happy is the trend of actually going into this green initiative and all these new startups like electrical vehicles manufacturers popping up. That's amazing. That's really nice. And you know what? As much as I despise Elon for speculating on crypto and some other things, I think he was the driver of actually changing the perspective towards cars in general. So now you have so many like new companies developing EV vehicles that drove big companies like Ford. And you probably guys know the new F-150 that was presented to Joe Biden the other day. Yeah, if big companies like Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen are actually trying to invest as much as they can and keep up with the race, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I would totally credit Elon Musk and Tesla for pushing the major manufacturers towards electricity faster.
Absolutely. And that's I think there's there's an interest, there's a financial interest there as well, because I'm probably in a position to say that the same oil moguls in the past that were highly invested in the oil industry are now transiting their investments and their money into the EV industry, which is a good thing. Yeah. So the same people that actually tried to stop the the development of the electric vehicle.
They're coming around.
Now they're coming around, or they're actually, trying to diversify their
Yeah.
portfolio.
All right. Next question. Name at least 2 friends that should do this conversation. Call them out.
I actually talked about this with them. Daniel Damian, for sure. I told him about this interview, and he seemed pretty interested. And probably Vlad Savlak, our other friend. That is, you remember Vlad, right?
I remember Vlad.
Yeah. So Dan is a RN at UMC. Very interesting fella. And same thing with Vlad. That guy's an IT. He's an IT. So I think he would bring something very interesting to the table as well.
Awesome. Last question. Tell me in a few sentences or less what this conversation was like. If you've done a podcast or interview before, describe the biggest difference. I may use this in a video collage.
I haven't done podcasts in the past or any type of interviews. I think this was really fun. I think 3 hours passed by real fast.
It's been an hour, right?
That's a good sign. And thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. Let's call this the official end.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.